All right, shall we? All right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call our meeting to order. And Pastor Keith, would you lead us in invocation? And Commissioner Hutchinson, would you follow with the pledge, sir?
Let's pray. Father, we thank you. We bless you for the privilege, the opportunity to gather together as a community, Lord. Father, I thank you for our commissioners, our mayor, city attorney, Lord, city manager, and all those who serve this community, Lord. I pray for wisdom tonight. I pray that all things be done decently in order, that there be a great deal of respect and honor to one another. Lord, I pray that the business tonight that is done, that would be prosperous and good for our community, Lord. We give you the open door to lead this. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Stand and face the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, City Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Hutcherson.
Here.
Commissioner Willis.
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Can't hear you.
Vice Mayor Capizzi.
Here.
Mayor Mallett.
Here. All right, I need a motion. We have a special presentation first by United Way. Do we have a representative?
No, sir. I don't
No.
believe so.
All right. Robin?
Sure, yes,
Say a
sir.
word.
Just a sincere thank you. So the United Way reached out and just said to the city of Cocoa Beach, thank you for the 2022 United Way campaign. Because of the generosity of thousands of Brevard residents, the campaign raised $5.13 million to support our agency partners and community initiatives in the coming year. To recognize the support from the city of Cocoa Beach, yourself and fellow employees, I'm happy to present this plaque to you. We hope that you would display it proudly. Yep, thank you, Mayor.
All right. Need an approval for the agenda, please.
Move to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. All right, public comments on any items not on the agenda. I've got a few cards here. Pastor Keith?
Is the noise on the agenda?
Yes, sir.
I'll wait for that.
All right. Dr. Armstrong?
Yes, sir.
You're up.
Can I have this shown?
You may.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners, Attorney, staff, citizens of Cocoa Beach. Next weekend is Rolling Thunder's 35th annual Ride for Freedom. We were in Washington, D.C. for 32 years until 2019, when 1.7 million motorcycles, as I have been told by the FBI, figured out, and they asked us not to do this again, make it state-run. So for the past 3 years, this has been held in this state and twice in this area. We ran the first one 2 years ago. I had 1 month to plan that with my Rolling Thunder Florida Chapter 1, which meets in the Veterans Memorial Center, normally on the fourth Sunday at 2 o'clock. And we had 1,000 motorcycles show up in that 1 month of planning. 3 months of planning with Jacksonville City Council has been canceled about 2.5 months ago, and the state called and said, would you do it again? So this time I said, 3 months, better than 4 weeks, let's see how many come. Rolling Thunder is an MIA POW advocacy group. That's it. We're not a motorcycle club. We're open to the public. But it's just wishing to find missing like this, my family member. We are holding this event. All information is available on Rolling Thunder Florida, the1.org. Friday night in Washington, the Gold Star families with a flame of freedom, a gold-etched flame. There's only 3 in the United States, and we have one coming. But they would walk in front of the Vietnam Wall at night. Thousands of people, not one person speaking. A very solemn event. We're running that. And thanks to our sponsors, we're feeding them a dinner before then, as they are in the Veterans Memorial Center with the walls on terror when many of their family members are etched on them. Saturday is our festival at Space Coast Harley-Davidson, where someone will own for $10 donation to help our local veterans an ultra classic that's gorgeous. We have tickets at Armstrong Chiropractic, and I'll have those through next Wednesday. Sunday, May 28th is our Ride for Freedom. And in Washington, we would go up Independence Avenue and down Constitution, about a 5-minute ride. Of course, as I mentioned, it got so out of hand that we have to make this state run. But I have folks contacting me from Tennessee, the Carolinas, the flame is coming from Alabama, Georgia. I just hope this is a nice, wonderful event. Memorial Day weekend, remembering our missing in action and fallen. The B-52 coined the term, bombing Vietnam. The troops on the ground said that's rolling thunder. So that plane is specific to our event. I flew in those. I'm proud to say we have the only B-52 available in the United States, planning to come over our heads at about 500 feet as we launch kickstands up at 10 a.m. out of the Veterans Memorial Center. We will head west on 520, south on US 1, east on Pineda Causeway, and north on A1A through Atlantic Avenue. I have found out this afternoon we have Sheriff Motor support. 2 years ago when we did this, a Cocoa Beach police officer was able to assist us by leading us by about a half a block. I just want our citizens to know that next Sunday, approximately 10:30, sorry, Pastor, but if people wish to come to the curb and wave on Atlantic Avenue to recognize what we're doing, to ride with us, you may register on the website or at the events, to come with us, to join our group possibly. But Rolling Thunder is here, and it's going to be incredible. And I think this is going to be a fantastic event. I want all our citizens to know about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Any other public comments on items not on the agenda? Mr. Johnson.
Mike Johnson, 108 Surf Drive, Cocoa Beach. I'm here to discuss seaweed on the beach should be removed. Residents and visitors desire a beautiful beach. I inquired why the weed is not removed since Cocoa Beach Cape Canaveral bought removal equipment several years ago. I was told years ago when removal was stopped that nutrients from the weed and avoiding damage to the turtle nest was the reason. Sargassum blows in from Africa April to August. Turtle nesting season, June to September. If seaweed removal is not done because of nutrients, there must be a study that analyzes this water. Let me help with this. There are 310 million cubic miles of water in the Atlantic Ocean. 5.6 miles of seaweed amounts to approximately nothing. Nothing at all. If birds and crabs need the weed, then why don't they need the seaweed from September to March? We all know turtles nest way past the weed, and baby turtles get stuck in the weed, needing help, helping birds to decimate those that are all trapped. And they're all pretty much decimated when they're stuck in the weed. There is no logical reason not to clean the beach. I'd like to see you start cleaning tomorrow, and I have recommendations on that, but I'm sure you folks in the city are way smarter than I am. Thanks for listening. Please take care of the seaweed, get it out of here.
Thank you. Any other public comments on items not on the agenda? All right, moving right along. Staff reports.
I have none, sir. I was just seeing if anybody else in the back.
Oh, got it.
No, none, sir. Thank you.
City attorney.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
All right. City commission. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have been in the river lately, but since, I assume since the dredging has been underway and completed, this last month has been the best the water's looked in the past year. So just I want to encourage you guys to go enjoy our river because it's beautiful right now.
Thank you. Commissioner Willis.
Oh, I have nothing today.
Commissioner Williams.
Yeah, one thing, I'm exercising my right to put something on the agenda within the 2-week deadline for the next. it's not up for discussion tonight, it's not been divulged. So I would ask you to hold any comments until our June 6th meeting.
Any other comments, sir?
No.
Commissioner Hutchinson?
No, sir.
All right. We got a busy weekend coming up. Just be mindful. Traffic will be an all-time disaster, so plan accordingly. Moving right along. City Attorney, consent agenda, please.
Okay, this is the consent agenda. Item 1, approve the April 25, 2023 and May 4, 2023 Commission meeting minutes. Representative, City Clerk Department, recommendation approve. Item 2, approve the Memorandum of Understandings, MOU, with Brevard County Ocean Rescue for lifeguard services for the year 2023 for the amount of $83,018.14. Lifeguard services will be provided at Shepherd Park, Fisher Park, and the Cocoa Beach Pier. Dates of coverage are included in the MOUs. This is a budgeted item. Representative Justin Grimes, Deputy Fire Chief, recommendation approve. Item 3, approve the fence replacement for the Little League baseball field in the amount of $50,052.93, piggybacking and using a county contract with All Right Fence Services, LLC. This is a budgeted item. Representative Robert Torres, Public Works Director, recommendation approve. Item 4, approve the updated city purchasing policies and procedures to include piggybacking on General Services Administration GSA contracts. Representative Patricia Dracut, Chief Financial Officer, recommendation approved. Pages changed, page 7 through 8, items 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, added page 8, item 11 added.
Move to approve consent agenda.
Motion, do we have a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, moving right along. City Attorney, item J1.
Okay, this is item J, unfinished business. 1, provide direction for city noise regulations based on past city commission discussions. Representative Tanja McCoy, Development Services Director, recommendation, provide direction.
Move to discuss.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Got lots of cards. You guys want to kick it off? You want to hear public comment first?
I'd like to hear public comment.
All right, let's
I would
start.
too.
Public comment. Just going from order here. Mr. Ray Norman? You're up, sir. That's what happens.
IFO, last in, first out.
Yep.
So my name is Ray Norman. I live at 330 Jack Drive, Cocoa Beach. And I took the time to listen to the previous YouTube video where this agenda item was discussed. And I'd like to clarify that someone had made a comment that this did not affect those of us on the north end, and I would disagree. The Westgate Pier and at one point the A1A Ale House at the intersection of Shepherd Drive and A1A were offenders, to the point where I could stand in my driveway and I could listen to the A1 Ale House. They were annoying. The pier is actually not bad. They're usually drowned out by the surf. And I guess my question would be, I'm not sure if the ale house self-remediated or whether there was an enforcement action imposed upon them. If it was a city-imposed enforcement action, who did that? And I don't have the access, I don't know how to go look that up, but that would be my question is, was it a self-remediation or was there some sort of code violation enforced upon them? The noise violation went on for the ale house for several years, and we were all very happy when that ended, when they took their outdoor speakers down. So, I guess, where is the enforcement of this, right? So I have to stand back. Where is the enforcement of this action? If I go fast, I get a ticket. If I go fast and I have a loud muffler, I get a ticket. So is it the police department? Is it Robin Reeland? He's the code enforcement guy. Regardless of who it is, somewhere there's got to be some mechanical device, and I think we have handheld meters, right, that will register the noise at different levels. So it's not a matter of determining the loudness of the noise, it's who's going to make that enforcement action. Whether it's code, whether it's a police department, I don't know. But in that venue, however that problem is solved, we need to take action, not only for those of us on the north end, but for everybody, the whole community. Thank you.
Thank you, Norman. Carol Snyder.
I'm kind of new to the issue because I didn't really listen to the discussion prior to this. But in general, I'm just hoping for some moderation. I know I live on Osceola Road. My husband and I, our backyard faces east, and we hear the noise, we hear the music. Actually, it doesn't bother us. We sit outside, listen. But I know it bothers people, and I've walked all over town when the music's going, so I know what places are doing what. But back quite a while back, the Islandtime Marina had a problem with the music. In their backyard, they put in, at the marina area, they put in a band, but right next door was a condominium complex right there. So they put 3 walls and a top on their bandstand. They're playing music now, so I'm assuming they were able to take care of it in moderation without, giving up on music. So I'm hoping the kind of thing can be done here, like at Salty Sisters, where they could put 3 walls around their bandstand because they've got a nice thatch roof right now, and I know that muffles sound. There's things they could do with vegetation along the west perimeter of their property there. They could put in some Florida native trees and shrubs that don't get really high. They get like 15 feet. Things like Jamaica caper or Simpson stopper or Walter's viburnum. They're shrubby, nice. It would also give them some shade, but it would also damp out a lot of the sound. So that's just my input. I don't want to see venues go away. I like the music. I know it has to be toned down. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Judy Liu. Judy? Sorry, Judy.
They're having a hard time.
Judy Lowe? Louay, yeah. There you go.
I am Judy Louay. I live on Osceola as well. And we are severely affected by the noise, as we stated last month during your last meeting, the special. My background is in process management and assessments. So I took a look at our problem using that methodology. We have 2 sources of our noise. One is from regular business, and one is from the special events that goes on. I took a look at the special event process to see what was going on, to understand it, to learn a little for myself. And here is the process. You apply for a permit online, you get a committee review, the permit is approved by Leisure Services, city manager is notified, the event is held, and then the police, the commissioners, and the mayor receive all the complaints. And that's where it ends. My proposal is to take you out of the business of handling complaints and making this process healthy so it can take care of itself. So I pulled up the last special event for Area 142 to look at the process of the permitting. And you can see this was approved on April 19th. The city manager got a copy of it. The Director of Leisure Services owns this process. Inner Circle Band was performing on 5/6, and Eddie Rose put in the application for Area 152. On the application, you can see that there's several people, or several departments, I should say, signed off on the different lines that are required for this particular activity. I'm not sure how these departments are required or what constitutes their necessity to perform on the committee. I didn't see any information from that. On the right there, you'll see that the Inner Circle Band at Area 142 was approved. It was signed off by a city official on the 25th, and the only requirements is that 3 police are present during the event. On the bottom left, this is taken from the application, and it says, yes, there will be music, and yes, there will be a temporary structure, and that structure will be stages. I don't understand why the building department wasn't included in that, but like I say, there was nothing to show me what the criteria is for those different people to perform on the committee. What's really interesting is on the permit, it says that no single-use plastics or polystyrene products will be used during the event. And if you fail to comply, may result in an immediate cancellation of the special event permit by the Leisure Board, committee, or the city manager. And that is signed off and agreed upon. May I have a couple more minutes to finish this?
Just a couple, we got a lot of folks here.
This is signed, this is agreed to by the applicant. So during this special event, there were several things that failed. So the permit was issued for that one band on one day, but that concert stage was brought in on the 5th and it stayed until the 7th, and it broadcasted throughout the weekend. The police department said that the volumes measured at the venue were within guidelines, 70 decibels, measured at 5 feet. But what really surprised me is that 4 blocks away, we're still getting 70 decibels. So I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me. The concert stage was placed facing west again. I believe Mr. Rose said last month that he was going to try to replace that to mitigate some of the noise. That wasn't done. There is obscene and profound lyrics broadcasted into our neighborhood. We sat down at Cinco de Mayo with 4 generations at our table on our patio. Rap songs come on, yelling mother effer across our table is not okay. Not only that, but there are federal laws, there's state laws. Supreme Court has reviewed this about obscene and profound lyrics being broadcasted. And then, as I mentioned, that permit was acknowledged and ignored on the single-use plastic and polystyrene use. The application was made on 4/17, which is not meeting the 30-day requirement. So these failures, they're not all bad. They gave us some really good information here of where our process is failing. Okay, it's not just one person, it's the process. So the current process doesn't have the compliance verification step, as I think his name is Ray said earlier. The business owners don't require family-friendly music on our streets. The requirements in the code don't carry over to the application process. So specifically, here's one example. There's a lot of these, but one example is a special events permit applications is filed within city to secure a Class A or Class B, but it's not required for a Class C, which is what the events are at 142. So that's a big broken piece right there. You have a huge gap. Process is not in line with code requirements on Sunday. It's misspaced. Okay, they're not in line with code requirements because on Sunday, when they move from that stage, that concert stage that they bring in with the professional sound system, and they move down to their house stage, it went from being in our backyard to being down at Area 142. Just changing the stage. Same DJ, same day, everything else is the same. So those speakers, let me show you a picture here. So you can see this picture, that white line across the center there, that's the height of the stage deck. That's approximately 6 feet high. And you can see the speakers on either side, they start at 6 feet. Those speakers up at top, they're at least 12 feet above that. So we're talking 18 feet. It doesn't matter if you turn that volume down and you're still broadcasting at 18 feet across the neighborhoods, you're not going to get the control you need. So I was suggesting 3 things. Add that risk signature and review the noise requirements, the stage requirements, all of those things, the profanity. Review that with the permit applicant before they get it, so that they know what they have to adhere to. Make it clear and upfront. They shouldn't have to go search the code for all these things. Prohibit the concert stages for the Class C events. And designate a maximum speaker height. You can put the people up there at 20 feet. Who cares? The speakers need to be down here at 6 feet, 10 feet, right? To prevent it from being broadcasted across our neighborhoods. And then put in a compliance check in there. Nobody's checking. It's just dumping on you people. That's the end of the process as it is today. You need somebody out there checking it. So this is what I suggest. You have basically the same permitting process, but the compliance is put into the circle here, and if they're not compliant, you cancel the special permit. Or you keep the records at the very least to see who's the problem and keep the problems from reoccurring. So this action's required to change this.
So, if you could please wrap it, we got lots
Sure.
of folks here.
That speaker height, the concert stages, the compliance verification, you need to put that in place on your process. This process is definitely broken, and you're never going to get it to be what you want it to be as it is today. And actions are also required for the regular business. Commissioner Hutchinson has been working with the city attorney to make sure that things are compliant. To look at the measurement methods, the volumes by the time of day, we know that needs to be changed. We know that needs to be shored up. But also the speaker height, because we're back outdoors, the distance between new venues needs to be addressed so we're not stacking them door to door. And then define the family-friendly music for all the outdoor venues in the city. So is there any questions? Okay, I'm ready to volunteer my time and services, my expertise in process management to help you map this out to all the requirements. So some are missing. You know, this is very typical of an older process. Little pieces get changed, and pretty soon you don't have a solid process anymore. And I will be glad to work with the city to get you a healthy process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any others regarding this topic? Pastor Capizzi?
Keith Capizzi, 116 Boca Ciega. I am not the commissioner. That's my son. But, you know, I came to Cocoa Beach in 1973, and I came here to surf. I knew I could surf all year long, and I fell in love with it and wound up buying a home here. I love this community, have always loved it. I've always served this community. I owned Brevard Concepts and Kitchens in Cape Canaveral for years. So I was a business owner. I know what it's like to own a business. So I can sympathize with the clubs. You know, that's a business they run, a business they invested in. They have employees that they have to account for now. And so they're committed. However, as a resident, I live at Boca Ciega, 5 blocks away from downtown. And I can tell you the noise is so disturbing. The community I once loved is turning into a community I truly dislike. And that's a very sad thing for me. I love this community. I serve this community. I'm the pastor of Club Zion Community Church. I have a commitment to this community that goes beyond my life. And what is happening to me is really disrespectful to the people that live here. And I think it really comes down to respect. We should, as people, respect one another. And for that level of sound to be so loud that I can't sit in my living room and listen to a television set 5 blocks away, I think someone's missing the respect zone that we should have towards one another. And I don't want to name clubs and point fingers. You know who you are. You know exactly who you are. And I think, I don't want to come against your business and hurt your business, but I truly would like you to respect where I'm coming from. I'm not the only one. As a pastor of the church, I have people coming to me all the time talking about the community in all different ways. But this is the number one issue in the community. This community is fed up, and you're hurting them. I have a single mom that came to my office today to speak to me, and she's a widow, and she said her daughter came to study for her final exam in college Sunday night, and she said, "Mom, I can't study." She's sitting at the counter, the table at her kitchen, and she says, "Mom, I can't study. This sound is too loud." So if you're a club owner, I just ask you to please just think about it. Think about it. I'm not telling you to shut your business down. I'm just telling you that there should be some kind of level of, we have to live together. You're a business, we're a resident, we have to live together. Let's just cooperate. That's all I'm asking for. I'd like to talk for another hour, but I know I can't.
Any other public comments, sir?
Hello, everyone. I get very nervous when I talk in front of people, so bear with me. I'm a concert promoter from Detroit, and I have seen the bad things that happen when events come to a big city and the people come to a city, do a big event, and take the money and go count it in California or Texas or wherever they're from. Since there's one guy that was talked about tonight, Eddie. Eddie is from here. He has pride. He works hard. He's a good family man. And he's not out on a boat somewhere counting his money. He's at his shop every day working hard. Now, he's very accessible. He can work with you. It's not you against him or you folks against him. We can work together. He's very accessible. He's there every single day. And I admire him for his work ethic, and I look forward to working with him and you as well. So I just wanted to say my piece, and I've seen the cities that go down, Detroit, Flint, these big cities. People come in there and do a big event, and then they leave. Eddie has been here all his life. All of his vendors are from here. All his employees are from here. The economic benefit, that place is beautiful out there. There's families out there. He brings the community together, and he's here to work with you, not against you.
Thank you. Ms. Scott?
Janice Scott, Cocoa Beach. I live on Carmine Drive. I can hear the music from Island Time at my house, and I just don't quite understand. If our charter says that we are a residential resort community, why are the residents being treated like this? I mean, really, there's no reason for us to be saying, oh, business is good for the community. Well, yeah, well, what kind of business? And I was very embarrassed, and it was a mistake, actually, about that bar fight on the 10th of May that said Cocoa Beach bar fight, they're looking for these two people and so on. If you look at the video, though, and the security guard in that video is just standing there. So, I mean, I'm just kind of concerned about the kind of people that are being attracted to Cocoa Beach. Who's being attracted to come here and behave like this? I spoke with the city manager of Panama City Beach one time. What do you do about noise? I mean, I know one of the former commissioners went all over about how we should control alcohol on the beach. Well, I went around to find out, what do you do about the noise coming from these communities? And I think there's something like 30 bars south of 4th Street North now. I mean, they all are playing music. It seems like when the music gets louder and louder just before the band is supposed to stop, like the last hour you really get hammered. And Island Time does it, the Pier does it. On the north side, that's where we hear it. They say, look, those people know what the rules are. If they violate the code, we shut them down. That's what they do in Panama City. Why can't we do that here? Why do the residents have to be putting up with this noise? And some of them are leaving. And I tell them when they contact me, why don't you call the police? Well, I don't want to call the police about that. That's not what police jobs are all about, is to control, you know, the noise coming from these bands. So I just think that there's another opportunity for you all to look at this and really fix it for the residents. Thank you.
If you didn't fill out a card, just state your name and address for the record.
My name is John.
When you get up to that.
379 Hardwood Avenue, Satellite Beach. Give you kind of a history of me. I used to work for a company called SFX Entertainment, Clear Channel Entertainment. I used to run the largest outdoor music venue in North America called Alpine Valley Music Theater, 40,000 capacity. I've done everything from the Rolling Stones to open up stadiums all over the country. When I heard about Area 142, I met with Eddie, said I'm here to help. I've dealt with huge crowds, dealt with problems, dealt with neighbors, dealt with all this type of stuff. We're not here to step on anyone's toes. We're here to help you guys. We're here to help each other to bring good entertainment to this community. I volunteered my time. I think I met some of you guys. You guys were out that day. I'm gonna be at every single event to help out, to make sure we're not bringing the rough crowds in. You know, when I'm dealing with, you know, big stadiums like this, we're well protected. We're here to help him. He brought me in. I'm volunteering my time. My wife's volunteering her time. We're gonna be dedicated to Cocoa Beach to help everywhere we can. That resume speaks for itself. You can call the city of Madison. They had huge problems with their Halloween event, vandalism, all kinds of stuff, riots. They hired me. I fixed it in 1 year. Feel free to call the mayor, and he'll back me up on that. That's all I want to say.
Any other public comments?
How's it going? My name is Chris Saunders, the owner of ResPro. I am the sound company that runs the sound at Area 142. And I do want to address immediately, the sound was not measured 4 blocks away on the Inner Circle concert. I was the one who measured the sound with the police department standing next to me, about 60 feet off the west line of the building. So I just wanted to clear that first. Also, the speakers that hang in the air, they actually curve down towards the ground and shoot the sound down towards the ground. We actually can aim those speakers specifically to do that. So that, I just wanted to address that. We do pay attention. I do go measure to the guidelines that we're supposed to be in. And yes, we were at 72 decibels, so we were 2 decibels over for the Inner Circle concert. But considering what we were trying to deal with as a first big ticketed event, I think that was pretty good. So I will, of course, do my best to keep it within guides what we're supposed to. But we do address it, we do pay attention to it, and we do measure. So that's what I wanted to say.
Did you say that I didn't hear 5 blocks away?
I'm not saying that you said that, no. It was addressed saying that it was measured 4 blocks away. I was not measured 4 blocks away. I personally measured it 50 feet west of the building, that's all. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
I'm Alexandra Bobo, 410 Blakey Boulevard, and I'm roughly 1 mile away from Area 142. And I have to say, I was standing in my house one day, and I could hear loud and clear the music that was coming from that venue. which I've never heard anything that far away. Maybe I've heard very, very faint, but it was very clear, very loud. And so I don't know what kind of machine he's using, to monitor it, but if I can hear it a mile away very clearly, it's too loud.
Good evening, guys. The air's a little thick tonight, isn't it? My name's Nevada Hatfield. I live at 55 West Church Street, Orlando. I'm the general manager at the Dunes, 321 Eats, and Atlantic Liquors. So, my thing, I'm going to switch page a little bit instead of just, beating up Area 142. My thing is last night I got hit with my first sound compliance with Officer Sean with Cocoa Beach City Police Department. And so my issue with the ordinance, how it is set out, is everything should be governance and rules and regulations. As business owners and operators, we want to follow those rules and everything else. My issue is whenever Officer Sean came up, he's like, hey man, lower your music, which I was like, oh, hey, absolutely. We're having a 21st birthday party for a private event. And then I'm like, hey, quick question. I'm like, what number were we at? Because the thing since last meeting of our discussion, I went out and got my own decibel reader that cost about $300. So we started testing. I was at 62 decibels. Downtown Orlando regulation is 85. Satellite, then up north for Daytona Beach is very different. So our thing with business, we want to comply, but also at the same time, we want to meet in the middle with a win-win scenario. If it's decibels, if it's a time ordinance past 11 p.m. on weekdays, 12 a.m. on weekends, so everyone knows that cutoff where our peace and quiet will begin. My thing was, I asked Officer Sean, how did you test that you told me to turn my music down? Because I'm like, 62 on a weekday is pretty good. I'm like, it's not blaring, it's not crazy. He's, well, I drove past and I heard you. I'm like, oh, so it wasn't even a compliance issue or anything. He's like, no. He's like, how I test it, 100 feet away, I close my eyes, he's a guy, listen. So I'm like, now we're testing the success of our business downtown off of officers' calibrated ears, which I love our police force. I joked around with them. My thing is we need a clear, concise rule for this, but also we can't beat up the residents. We can't beat up the business owners. Our biggest thing is economic development and growth for Cocoa Beach. The taxes that we pay alone in quarterly taxes for the residents of Cocoa is the biggest thing. What I think that we need is a Main Street vibe of Main Street America that will allow us to get federal funding for downtown development. Now, I mean, the noise ordinance is the biggest thing. I understand that. But as, operator for the business of the block, the numbers last night that I went around the whole block to look at, 100 feet away from the property line in the parking garage was 66. Area 142 in Subway, the middle of the back alleyway, was 65. Coming from me, not from anyone else. It could have been the sound that we spoke about, the sound engineer last time. I went into the elevator, the parking garage, and it jumped up to 65 because the noise is in the elevator. So in an elevator, you think you sit right there is at 65 decibels. On the third floor, street side, facing the fire department, it was 52. And then on the bar side, hanging over, looking down at the dunes, it was 68. So on the ground, it was lower, but up higher because of the parking garage effect. There's a lot of factors, what we talked about in the last meeting. 30 more seconds, then I'll jump off. In front of the VFW was 50 decibels. And this is on a Thursday night where I was doing karaoke, 142 was doing karaoke. The biggest thing is we're trying to comply, but at the same time, it's not a finger pointing of next door to 142 or the block or anything else. We're trying to maximize our business license of what we're allowed to do inside of Cocoa Beach, what you guys all granted us, but at the same time, we can't get beaten down so much to where it's like a 10 p.m. curfew or ordinance. We're trying to meet your guys' requirements and your guys' needs. We're here for you guys, for that platform. But the biggest thing is we can't be so tied down for the backdoor politics of the residents versus City Hall versus business owners. We're all here together for a community. Before I leave out, I just want to say with our community, our block, it's here for entertainment purposes is the last thing. The entertainment purposes, if it's 11 p.m. on weekdays, 12 o'clock on the weekends, I think that's a fair trade. Thanks, guys.
I'm Casey Hahn, 61 Cedar. I had this whole thing written out, and I wasn't going to speak, but I've written letters, and I spoke last time, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name, but the gentleman from the Dunes, I agree. There's no clear cut. I don't know when I can call the police. I don't know when I can sit in my backyard and I just have to, listen to it, or when I can call. There's nothing that's clear cut. And whatever decibels there are, I hear it. We live right behind Salty Sisters. We've lived there for over 20 years. We've never had a problem. I've never complained about Salty Sisters. But now, since the other business came there, and I know I said it last time, I didn't have a problem with it, but that's when they were going to quiet down. Now it's just louder and louder and louder. So instead of enjoying the music from Salty Sisters, which we do enjoy, we get a mishmash of them, Area 142, Jonathan's. I mean, we get it all. It's just it's noise pollution. And I just want to know how we got here. And maybe this is not a time to ask questions, but I mean, how did we even get here that we think that we're this huge town? We're just a little town that cannot have a big venue. That's what I just don't understand. And maybe I'll have a coffee with a city manager, but I'd like that, So I would policy. What's the policy? And midnight. It can't be midnight. It cannot be midnight. It just can't. So anyway, thank you.
My name is Jack Snyder. I live on 119 Acilla Road, and I'm a retired Marine, and I have a hearing loss from different places I was stationed in the United States Marine Corps over my career. I hardly have a hard time hearing anybody in this room while they were speaking or anybody up here in the commission. But that one night, that Sunday night, I was in my bedroom on Acilla Road, and I could hear that music like it was plain day. I love music, but at the same time, it needs to be calmed down somewhat so the neighborhoods and the people in these neighborhoods aren't disturbed at nighttime by that loud music. Again, serve my country, and thing is, if I could hear that in my bedroom, forget about those little sound boxes or whatever you call those stupid things I think you were talking about, I could hear it.
I think that closes public comment. Who would like to kick it off?
I've got a briefing. I'd be happy to at least get the conversation started.
Take it away.
Cue that up, or... Oh, he's queuing that. I agree. Nevada brought up a great point. I see an ordinance change to help both ways, so they know the limits to stay under, and we know what to expect. So what I agree. I don't know where the 70 decibels is. I don't see that anywhere in the code, but on the left side of all three of these charts is what's currently. So I've got three different options here, and what I'm proposing on the right. So I think part of the challenge is during nighttime, it's carried under section 1523. I don't have it annotated on there, but 1527 during the day is just loud and raucous. So that gives the subjectivity to it. So what I'm proposing at night, reduce that 11 to 7 a.m., which is plainly audible 100 feet of the metrics. The chief of police recommended we manage this by distance and time. So that's exactly what I did. I lowered that from 11 to 7, 10 to 7. I indicated days in there, so it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then during the week, we do work. This is a residential community. I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, so lower that 9 to 7, Sunday through Wednesday. Still has the plainly audible threshold, 100 feet, and then leveraging that for the daytime, 7 to 9 or 10, and then 300. These thresholds, obviously, we can discuss, but I at least wanted to get this out there as a talking point rather than try to articulate it verbally. Again, this was a recommendation from the police, so I think it helps both of us. I get it. I appreciate the businesses and the entertainment, but I think we need to have common ground of what you guys expect to adhere to and what we should know when the sound's going to cut off. The second point, an option we can consider, is the short-term rental. There seem to be unanimous consensus on limiting the short-term rentals. So this is a very similar situation. You've got unwanted noise coming in. The source is different than a short-term rental, so my logic here was we wrote out this nice ordinance. Our city attorney put together a nice ordinance that was released in the short-term rental package ordinance. If we can leverage something similar, obviously that's enforceable for the short-term rental complaints, but we can apply that citywide, RS1, wherever we want to apply that. The red text is the new text I'm suggesting. Not that this goes into the short-term ordinance, but a citywide noise ordinance leveraging the short-term methodology. Next chart. And then the third one is, I think, I'm sorry on your name, Miss Judy, I'll say, on the process flow. Great great, that's how my mind thinks. Great idea there. As I understand it, 142 is actually A and B. They're Alpha Bravo, they're not Class C permits. But what's up here, in the verbiage for special events under Class C, the only person that can deny that is the city. So I'm proposing that we insert the ability for a commission to vote and deny future permits if they're abused. And like I said, I answer to you guys. I answer to the residents. So if you guys are complaining, I'm getting that call, I want to have the ability to make a change. Right now, I have to call the city manager or the police department or whoever, and they may or may not listen to me. So anyways, those are my three options. I wanted to open the floor.
Yeah, can you go back to his first slide, please, Bobby? So I think you could have added a little more clarity to the slide. You were saying the option current is that, the current night from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. That's the current curfew on noise?
That's the current noise ordinance 1523 that I assume the police
But
are trying
it
to
says, yeah, but it doesn't say anywhere on here. It almost looks like, they can make noise from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.,
Okay, fair enough.
It says plainly.
The restriction is from 11
plainly
to 7
audible.
at 100 feet. Sorry about that.
Right,
Yeah, so that is the limitation.
That's the
You're-
current
fair point.
restriction.
That's the current restriction.
Plainly audible at 100 feet away. And your revision would be change that to 10 o'clock on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and 9 o'clock on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Same thing, plainly audible, 100 feet.
Correct.
Okay. And then the day on your side, it says 7 a.m. to 9 to 10 p.m. at 300 feet. Is that
This is a
loud
start,
and raucous?
This is a starting point for discussion. On the left side, I think we've heard a lot of folks say that they feel like they can't do anything before 11. The police don't know what to do. They don't know, should they call the police? Because it
just says loud and
raucous.
I mean,
So I'm suggesting we leverage the effective policy that works for after 11 and apply that to a restriction during the day. At the 300 feet, I put that in there. That seems reasonable to me, but I think that's what we're going to discuss here.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. I think this comes into public record. This is the restricted noise part.
I'll issue a
Time
Reg A
frame.
of this briefing to
Time
get
frame.
restrictions on there. Thank you.
Can
Go ahead.
Okay, so first of all, that's a really good presentation. Thanks for doing that, Jeremy. There's a few things I want to point out. So that ordinance 14.6, I think on the third slide, I was discussing this with the city attorney, and it doesn't seem like that actually it really applies to any of these businesses. That applies to certain special events, but not to the businesses downtown. And we were just going through that, and besides the fact it's pretty poorly written, it's not clear if it really applies to any of these businesses, including Area 142. So I think we really need to look at that ordinance and probably go through a rewrite. But I can't say we can restrict any of the events or any of the music that's being played at any time on any of these businesses, because it's not clear that this ordinance even is applicable to any of the businesses anywhere in the city. Second, and I know we're discussing, so I'm just putting some things out. The distance and the time, it's been 11 for forever for any of the businesses, and I don't think it's right to change it now. I mean, a lot of these places can be open till midnight or 2 o'clock. I mean, any of them, Beach Shack, Hunker Down, to shut music down at 10, that's almost like half the shift that we're stopping. And I think the distance and the time, it's really hard to judge if that's going to work. I think maybe we should look at it, but I think overall, we really need to do a study downtown of of what the sound scenario is actually happening through the whole downtown. What sound dynamically, and as engineers, you guys understand, like, sound is so variable, sound is so unpredictable, and sound changes so much from hour to hour, temperature, pressure, which way the wind's going. So yeah, maybe you can hear it a mile away one day, and yeah, maybe it's only like playing at 65 dB, but it can propagate, bounce off walls, bounce off the parking garage, the wind can take it, you can hear it a mile away like one day, and then you won't hear it at all the next day. So I think it's really important that before we put restrictions or start rewriting ordinances, that we look at the data and see what our baseline, what our data is, and at different times too, during the weekend, during cooler temperatures, warmer temperatures. We got to look at all factors. We really got to look at the data before we put restrictions on things. And I'm dealing with engineering. That's always what we do, is look at the data first. And I think we really need to gather that data in a sound study, which we did at Allentown Marina. And I really see the benefits of that, because they've gotten a lot less. The owner of Allentown Marina took the sound engineers, the acoustic engineers, report and modified his stage, and it really improved. They got a lot less, significant less complaints since he's done that. So I feel like we can take the recommendation of acoustic engineer and then form our requirements or our ordinances that way. I really, with that would be my, that's the way I want to go, is look at the data first. But I also want to comment, I feel like there's been a lot of almost persecuting the business owners, the people who've been investing their money in developing these businesses, their taxes, investing in our town to make it more beautiful. Before, there was just a dirt field where Area 142 is for the longest time. There was empty units in the plaza where the Dunes is. Hunker Down just had that old building, and he totally redeveloped that and made it beautiful. So I really feel like for these people putting their money and investing their money and time to almost persecute them like they're trying to attack us is not the right attitude. We want to develop our community and beautify it. We need to make it grow, and they're beautifying it for us. I really feel like they're being disrespected in that way. I mean, I myself don't have all that millions of dollars to invest in the downtown. I would like to, but these people are putting their money on the line to do this, and they're making our economy and our downtown beautiful and making it grow. And I see it as a major improvement, as it was from like 3, 4, 5 years ago when we had that empty plot downtown with just grass and dirt flying around. So I'd like everybody to think about that. I know plenty of residents who love to go down to downtown, love to hang out at Area 142, love the music. I know, I guess several people, maybe it affects you adversely, but there's plenty of other people I know that also enjoy it. So we got to think of both sides when we're thinking about this. I don't see how many times I've saw like 3 violations in the code, and any of the businesses, they quickly corrected this to the best of their abilities. I know Area 142, they shut down their music at 10:30, no matter what. I really would like to consider doing an acoustic study of the whole downtown as a whole, as a conglomerate, to look at acoustic dynamics and get the data before we start making ordinances and rules, before we look at the data that is available. that would be what I would like to, which direction I'd like to go.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Well, yeah, obviously there's a lot to say on this subject, and as a business owner myself, I do feel for Area 142 and Island Time and all these other guys. But as a longtime resident, I feel the residents' pain. My father lives approximately probably a quarter mile away, and you can hear it clear as day. There's a problem here. There's a definite problem here. And we need to respect each other. And the last conversation that we had about this, I thought that we kind of had come to an agreement that we would respect each other and try to play nice. But, and everybody knows, I love reggae and I love music more than most. I run a radio station, a reggae radio station. But last, was it 2 weeks ago? It was too much for the residents, and it wasn't respectful, and because of that, that's why we're here today with a bunch of people. And I'm all for business, but I'm also all for making sure the residents are happy. So from what you're saying, the special events probably don't even get regulated by these. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, this ordinance, it's, and the attorney, right, you're still looking into it, right? But
Yes, I would suggest that we redo that ordinance. It's just not well-written. It's unclear as to exactly what it covers, and we need to figure out what you want it to cover, and then we can make it explicit so that there isn't any question.
But there are open permits currently, special event permits.
Oh, there's a stage set up right now.
Yeah.
actually,
we're
they,
following
I
the
understand
process.
They don't necessarily even need a permit according to that ordinance.
It is questionable as to whether they even needed a permit for that. But I'd like to see ordinances that are explicit, and then we can enforce them, and then there won't be challenges, and
So we definitely need to revise our sound ordinance code. That's a given, because nobody has clear, concise definition of what's loud, what's not loud enough. I don't think we need to spend money on a study to know that you can hear it from 5 blocks away. That's apparent. That doesn't.
But how can you solve the problem if you don't know exactly how the sound is?
It's not music, it's noise.
All right.
You can't have that right now.
I understand there was no policy input to that study, and we manage policy, right? We write policy. So my understanding, that study didn't have any input on the policy side of it. It was do this, do X, do Y.
I think.
So I'm with Commissioner Capizzi. I don't know what a sound study is going to do policy-wise.
It doesn't matter. We all know, it doesn't matter even if it says 50 decibels right next to the venue. If you can hear it from 5 blocks away, it's not acceptable, no matter where it is. It has to be different. We have to come up with a different plan here. I like your idea of maybe making it quieter on the weekdays. Honestly, I would probably put just Friday and Saturday as being, and I might even just keep it to 11, but I think 9 o'clock on the weekdays, Sunday through Thursday, is acceptable. And even the 300 audible, I mean, I think that's not enough. I mean, I think 500. I mean, even 500 feet away, but not a mile away, not 5,280 feet away. You know, not a quarter mile away. So I think 500 feet is reasonable for plainly audible. And maybe the venues, I mentioned before, aim your speakers in a different area, but maybe the answer is not bigger speakers, but maybe more speakers around so that the you can turn it lower, but it sounds louder in all of your area.
That's what a sound acoustic engineer would be able to tell you.
But we don't need the acoustic engineer to know that that works,
How do you know that?
because I play music all the time. I know. So that's just an idea. Look, I want to try to figure out an idea for him to be able to have his business and make it work, and to also make everybody else happy. So, also our fines. Our fines, $25 for a sound fine is ridiculous. There's no teeth in that. Honestly, we should start out at $250. The next one's $500. The next one's $1,000. It should hurt, so that you don't want to do that to people. But like I said, I'm all for the business. If we can figure out a way to coexist, maybe more speakers around the venue, and your bigger events, the speakers maybe not as high. You know, if they're lower, obviously it's going to get drowned. The music is going to get buffered by all the people. So that's an idea. I'm all for your business. I love music. I love reggae. I love the idea of what you got going on. But we have to figure out a way to coexist, and that's my input.
Go ahead. So, I work at the Space Center, and we have hearing tests and all that stuff. And this is going to be kind of not that important to you, but I pulled up the OSHA permissible noise exposure table, and it says, without hearing protection, you can go 8 hours a day listening to 90 dB, 6 hours a day at 92, 4 hours a day at 95, 3 hours a day at 97, 2 hours a day at 100, 1.5 at 102, 1 hour at 105, and a half hour at 110, and less than a quarter of an hour, 15 minutes, if it's at 115. So, I was a kid, I went to concerts, I got up front, you couldn't even hear yourself think because you were so close to those big speakers. And I've got hearing loss because I didn't know any of this stuff then. But there should be a little bit of a concern for the people that are actually standing in front of those speakers at that kind of noise level with no hearing protection. Because you're actually, whoever's putting on the music either should have a rope back far enough where because if they're going to stand there for 2 hours and it's 100 dB, and they're within 20 feet of it, they're going to have hearing damage. But the bigger issue is what the Vice Mayor was pointing at, and also Commissioner Willis. Is Commissioner Willis saying, hey, these guys are doing great things downtown. Downtown looks a lot better, bringing a lot more people, they're paying taxes, it's redevelopment, all the good things we want. A little bit more tax money because the properties are worth more. But trade that off at the detriment of the people that live here that have to listen to all that are paying way more taxes than those businesses. We got to come to a balance. I mean, I bet you that if you had a house in either one of these neighborhoods on both sides of A1A on the canal, that you wouldn't have somebody show up to you wouldn't have an open house on late Sunday afternoon and have showing them your house and have those people that are prospective buyers listening to the blaring music where you can actually distinctly understand every word. And I live on Westview, and I can hear it. I could hear that particular night. I could make out every word inside my house. Okay. Now I don't have hurricane windows, so maybe I'm a bit of deficit. But I can put up with it. And I know I'm not going to have hearing loss because of it. But, when we think about, we're doing great things for the downtown, but if you start making it detrimental to the property values and people wanting to move into these residences in the downtown and that tax value, that's something else to consider. So we need to come up with some kind of happy medium here, and that's all I got to say about it.
Thanks. Yeah, it's for me, it's a balance, right? We want our downtown to be successful, but this is what I got to hear the other night. Went on all night till about 10 o'clock with my doors shut, which is why my house is for sale. I have an Airbnb next to me, one behind me. It's Monday night. I get up at 5. My son gets up and goes to the gym at 5 a.m. It's obnoxious. It's a special event every week. And I like music, but if I choose to go to your venue to listen and pay, then that's on me. If I want to sit in my house, I shouldn't have to listen to that. So you gotta work with us. You gotta figure out a way to dampen the noise. Island Time, Keith, you're right. They did a great job of mitigating it, and I don't think we should spend the money. I think the onus is on the business owner. You guys have to fix the problem. You guys got to figure out how to lessen that sound intrusion into the neighborhoods. And facing the speaker west, from my understanding, the permit that was granted for that business, they were supposed to face east. So you face the wrong way. You're blowing it into the neighborhoods. Turn it around. We didn't have this problem. I mean, Coconuts has been there as long as I can remember. They've had live music for every weekend. We've never had an issue. So it's not a question of that commercial area being offensive to our neighborhoods. It's like Battle of the Bands every weekend. And it's gotten to be just too much. So you got to help us because everybody's tired of it. I'm tired of getting the emails. I'm sure you're getting tired of getting the emails. Mm-hmm. We got to fix it.
So I think what Jeremy's saying is, if there's going to be any voluntary fixing, then we got to start dialing it back.
Yeah.
And we dial back times, we dial back decibel levels, we just keep dialing back until there's some compliance.
We don't have to get it right the first time. We don't have to throw the book at them.
No,
but
I'm
we
saying.
but we
I'm offering
can
this as a starting
we
point,
can
so we're not
we can
talking-
start, and if it doesn't work, we bring it down. We bring it down until it works.
Well, then I would suggest that we actually ask for the city attorney, the city manager to craft an ordinance that tightens it up, that's gonna have to go through 2 readings, okay? So that means that it's gonna be at least a full month before the second reading, okay? And see if there's any difference between now and a month from now.
And just know that if it doesn't work, you'll be the one that's responsible for ruining it for everybody else. You know, that's the way it is. We will, whoever it is, you know, if we can all play nice.
If you don't want to listen to airplane noise, you don't move next to an airport. If you don't want to hear rocket noise, you don't move next to a space center.
Guys, come on. Come on, guys. The times, you know, look, they bought under certain conditions. I'm okay with 11 on Friday and Saturday. I mean, Thursday, to me, I got to be at work at, 7 a.m., so I got to be up. I think Friday, Saturday, leave it at 11, and the weekdays, different times. And that's where I'm at. And it's not perfect, but it's got to have tea. $25?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Come on.
I mean, I think where Nevada had said a great thing is let's establish a threshold that we can both operate.
Yeah.
We're not trying to kick businesses out, and they're not trying to kick residents out, but I think we both need.
Well, my notation was it wasn't also a hindrance to limit us so much to where now we can't operate like the other commissioner said, where It's a whole other shift.
Sir, wait. No, wait. Public comment's over. Sorry.
There'll be more meetings.
You're welcome to email us. You have, so you're welcome to call us because you have as well.
Is there currently a day, time, distance?
No.
Okay.
And I think that's
That's
one of the
part of
biggest
the
complaints
challenge.
is the loud and raucous actually there is in that ordinance, 1527, it's 50 feet. It's
That's-
loud and raucous at 50 feet.
That's ridiculous, though. I mean, honestly.
It's unenforceable. So
Yeah.
my logic here was let's take the top portion that is enforceable and apply that to a daytime, whatever those standards
And
thresholds
this is for businesses only, not residential, is what?
I mean, this is, I don't know the ordinance.
I mean, the Airbnb, we already have this
We
in
do.
place.
Airbnb is more restrictive. You can't hear
is.
anything with your windows closed, and that was option 2 if we want to go that route.
I like what Mayor said. I think Friday and Saturday, keep it at 11. I think the clearly audible should be at least 500 feet. I think that's enough for a business to be able to play their music still. And 500 feet, there's no residences closer than 500 feet to any bars that I know of. Is Salty Sisters
There's residences right across the street from Salty
that close?
Sisters.
See, it's not gonna.
And
Well,
then-
and there's
and
also
then
then
you're
it
gonna
might-
have to,
You're gonna
what's
have a lot of
plainly
challenges.
audible? Do you have to be able to, put up my phone and be able to do dictation and make sure it's recording, all the words are coming out correct? Is that plainly audible?
No.
Or is it I can hear it?
I got to.
There is not a do nothing option. Let's put it that way. We can't just not touch policy and expect compliance.
If I could say something, the plainly audible standard is something that there's a lot of case law on, which is a really good thing if we get sued and we're defending it. But plainly audible means they can absolutely hear it. They don't have to understand every word, but they can hear it.
I got a question, like, as a challenge, like, so the sound engineer who ran the sound for one of the events a few weeks ago, he measured 72 dB at 60 feet. So if 72 dB is like us talking here. 72 dB is like the waves in the ocean. So I'm just wondering, like, how low do they have to make their music so that it's not, that's going to be a challenge because that's nothing, 72. I don't understand how, that's the challenge I see with.
Right. And so the working session in April, I brought up the new Smyrna model, right? They have decibel levels, distances, time of day, and I was under the impression that was not the route to go down. It was more difficult to enforce. We got into the whole calibration, NASA hearing things, yada, yada. So I went down the route of plainly audible, which talking to.
But if it was
Ms. Bowes,
audible
it's
at
got-
72 dB, that's
I'm
what
not sound
saying.
engineer, right?
You know
But
what I
it sounds
mean?
like it's
So
legal, it's got case.
That's going to be a 72.
Currently between your two
Okay.
conversations,
Well, that's what I'm saying. So
Guys, come on.
it's just.
Please don't shout during our meeting. You had time for public comment.
I just
And you're
that's
spiking the
it might be okay. We're saying plainly audible. What makes at that point that they're measuring? What makes not plainly audible? Like if they're already at, that's the challenge I see. I mean, we're not measuring dB, but what does it take to make it?
I'm open to other options. I just threw out a starting point.
I understand, and I'm just discussing. I'm like, I'm trying to figure out how they could make it to that. If 72 is so low already, I'm seeing this is hard.
The plainly audible thing's an issue to me because I get up even earlier than you, 4:30, and I make my coffee in the garage so the snow doesn't wake my wife up. And I can hear the trains in Cocoa, plainly audible, going down FEC. Am I like gonna stop FEC from running trains down there? It doesn't bother me, but it's plainly audible. So I think the first hack at this should be on the timing and the days. And like I said, it's gotta come back, it's gotta go through 2 readings, and if we see improvement, maybe we don't enact it.
We got to have a starting point, like you said.
So I think what I heard that might have consensus is to say we go with Friday and Saturday night. The restriction would be from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, it would be, the restriction would be from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m.
That's where I'm at.
All right?
I think it's a good starting point.
Okay.
I still think, I don't agree. I still think we should do a study.
Okay, well, we got consensus of 3 at least and 4. So if this doesn't work, we can always come back with a study.
If it don't work, we go more.
All right? So
Okay.
do we need to make a formal motion, Bobby or Becky?
Not really, I just need to know, so I am to come up with an ordinance,
An
and
ordinance
you
that
can.
says that the restrictions on noise, whatever
Right.
they end up being, are gonna be on Friday and Saturday night between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. And on weeknights, including Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Right.
Thursday, those weeknights, the restriction will be from 9 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Okay, are there any restrictions in the daytime?
300
The
feet.
bottom bullet on the right.
At 3,
I mean, we have nothing right now. I think
We have
300.
Loud and Raucous at 50
Yeah.
feet, and I
and
think
the definition is so bad for raucous that
Right.
it doesn't apply to music.
I mean, I think 300 feet, like I said, I mean, what's a basketball court?
Football field is 300 feet.
A football field is 300 feet. So, I mean, 300 yards.
300 yards.
300 yards. That's way more than 300 feet.
It's 100 yards.
100
A
yards.
football field is 100 yards, which is 300 feet.
Okay.
For whoever had the.
you're suggesting 500 feet.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm just suggesting maybe they're going that restrictive. Let's just start off with 500 and see if that works, and we could always bring it down.
Okay, that's fine too. You good with that? We're good with that? We got consensus? All right. 500. Let's move on, Mayor.
All right. It's not going to get solved in one meeting, trust me.
All right, you got
All
your
right.
marching word, Becky?
Well, and how many feet in the evening?
We
It's
said
500
100.
feet during the day.
Keep it at
We
100.
said 100.
100?
Yeah, leave that.
All right. Next item. Item J2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, item J2, adopt resolution number 2023-05, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Cocoa Beach, Florida, amending resolution number 2023-02, a master resolution for fees to change fees in Exhibit 1, parking fees, providing for amendment of fees, incorporation of recitals, and providing for an effective date. Resolution number 2023-05 would add additional paid parking along Brevard Avenue, along First Street North and Second Street North. Add additional new paid parking spaces on South Brevard Avenue. Add golf cart parking on Minutemen Causeway west of Brevard Avenue for a reduced hourly rate of $3 per hour. Increase the general parking violation citation fees from $38 to $53, and increase the hours of operation enforcement from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Representative Patricia Draycott, Chief Financial Officer. Recommendation, adopt.
Move to adopt resolution number 2023-05.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any discussion? Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, did you ask for public comment?
No, I did not. And do we have any public comment on this? On parking? Okay. Come on up.
Come on down.
Hi, Sarah Inman, 205 North 2nd Street. So I think one of the paid parking areas that you're suggesting is literally right in front of my house. I also work from home, so I see people all day long parking there in those parallel spots on North 2nd that are right at the intersection of North 2nd and Brevard. I see a lot of families and people. There's a lot of the residents on that street. We also park there. Because we only have one-car driveways and some of us has 2 cars. The option is that we're on the street, not in a parking space, which is difficult. So by making those parking spaces paid, you would be charging me and my neighbors to park there on a regular basis. So I know that's not what it's intended for, but we do turn and burn them pretty quickly. Like, people are moving. It's not like we're eating them up for 3 or 4 days at a time. We're all leaving our houses on, the daily. So I would just like to consider that that's a pretty residential area, and there's a big old empty grass lot there where people park all the time for special events that acts as alternate parking, and there's several large unpaid parking lots right in that area. So I think it would be really more of a detriment to the residents in that immediate area than it would be a huge revenue driver for the city as far as parking spaces. So just like you to consider that before passing a blanket on that.
So just residents with parking stickers can park there for free.
Okay.
Which would keep the
Which
tourists
would
from
keep
all
the
spots.
vacationers that take up our beach spots.
So is my mom, when she comes over, she's gonna pay? When I have guests over, they're gonna pay to park at my house?
I'd like to consider having a free parking pass for a homesteaded property, so that you have, if you want to buy one, you get one free. The idea is to have it transparent to residents, right? So none of these are impacting. You've got a special case, obviously, but that's where my head's at.
I think, City
Come on.
Manager, you have dispensation to do something like that.
I can do that using the waiver process that you bring it back to.
And the idea was not to hurt the residents or their guests. The idea is to eliminate free parking for people that come, trash our beach, don't pick up after themselves, park there for free, drink all day, get in their car.
So I can tell you on that street, that's not the case.
Yeah.
Like, everybody who parks there, I watch all day long. I see moms with like a boat, like a gaggle of kids and stuff, loading things into minivans. Like, it's families. They don't leave it dirty. Like, we have great people who park there. So I don't know what the situation is on the other streets, but pretty good on North 2nd Street.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other comments on that? Well, Commissioner Williams is back, so maybe we.
Went faster than I thought.
So we had a motion and a second.
On which one?
Item J2.
I support it.
All right, so it's unanimous, 5-0.
Okay. Item K, new business, approve the use of the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funds, and permission to proceed with phases 1 and 2 of a 3-phase project for renovations and repairs of deferred maintenance issues at the Cocoa Beach Country Club, located at 5000 Tom Warner Boulevard. Upgrades include Phase 1 is for structural repairs, Phase 2 is for flooring and paint, and Phase 3 is for furniture and fixtures. The project cost for Phases 1 and 2 is $234,774, and the total project cost is $361,132. Representatives Robert R. Hayes, City Manager, Wayne Caragino, Assistant to the City Manager. Recommendation, approve.
Move to approve the use of the ARPA funds in the amount of $234,774 for Phase 1 and 2 of the Cocoa Beach Country Club renovation and repair project.
We have a motion, we have a second?
Second.
A second. I do have some cards, so I would like to get some public comment on it. Melissa Byron? Okay. And that's it. All right, any discussion? Other public comments? Commissioner Hutchinson?
All right. So we went through a big strategic initiative, and this wasn't on the top 3, probably not in the top 10. So I have a hard time spending $300K. I'm a golfer. I support it, but I think there's higher priority items. And I'll leave it at that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that priority list on the strategic plan, we didn't bucket the ARPA funds as to how we were going to spend them. So this is our taxpayer money that the government decided to give back to us so that we could recover from COVID, basically. And that money is going to be spent by somebody. So we're just authorizing that we spend this money for this project.
My point is, do we have other higher priority items in the city that would be a better beneficiary of that money? That's my only point.
If you wanted to do a BMAR, a backlog of, maintenance and repairs on everything in the city, we already know there needs maintenance and repairs here. We'd have to get that backlog and then weigh all the different ones out and figure out where's the best way to spend the money. And Wayne's about to jump out of his chair to tell us that this qualifies for the ARPA funds.
Well, if you've
So
been
it's number 1 on the priority list, is what I'm hearing.
if you've been to the golf course, you know that it's absolutely horrible. And if we're going to charge more money to have people go there, we really should bring it up to par. No pun intended. But no, but for real, I'm a big fan of it takes money to make money, and sometimes, even though we don't want to spend money, sometimes it's the greater good in order to get our end goal of getting this country club more profitable. And like Mr. Williams had said, this money is here waiting for us. If we don't spend it, it's got to get spent. There is probably other stuff that could be better spent on. I don't know at this time, but this place is run down, and we need to do something with it. I would love to wait until we could make a country club / yacht club on the water and put it towards that. But who knows how long that's going to take. So we can't just say. We can't just say, I'm going to get dirty tomorrow, so I don't need to take a shower today.
Well, then one time, for an example, I think it was, like a few days or a week after the hurricane. I walked into the country club right through here. For some reason, I forgot why, and there was like aerators and fans throughout the whole building. Like, there was so much rain. And then I was informed that this happens every time there's a heavy rain. And I had never seen that before, and I was shocked. There was water everywhere, and they were aerating it out for days. And I was like, I didn't even realize how much this building leaks. So right then I was alarmed we really need to take care of this building. And when I saw this, I was like, I was so happy, because when I saw that situation, I was floored. So that's why I'm supporting this. I'm sure Wayne wants to.
I was just called the question, or
I'd like to have a just shot at it. City manager, we already have laid out sources and uses for ARPA funds, right? This is money that if we don't use this, it's gone. We have to use it by a time finite,
2026 has
right?
to be
And it's
completed.
got to be a shovel-ready project. This is a backlog item that has not been taken care of. And to your point, I'm not a golfer. I'm probably very happy about that. But you can't charge more for people. And every time I walk by there and I see those damn cobwebs inside, it just drives me nuts. we gotta take care of it. And for God's sake, somebody take a broom to those cobwebs. It's embarrassing. If you come in this facility every day and you just walk past it, something's wrong. You're not looking at the same thing I am. And I don't come here often.
It is definitely a maintenance issue here.
So it's got to be addressed. So yeah, I'm supporting it.
I just want to understand, this sounds like it's number one priority for the money that's restrictions.
It's one use of money that's already been,
Got it.
there's monies being allocated to better things.
I got it.
All right. But fair point. All right, public comment? Go ahead.
Janice Scott, Cocoa Beach. My math showed that there's about $150,000 unbudgeted to go with the ARPA funds, right? I don't know. And I thought Mr. Caragino could perhaps elaborate a little bit on exactly what the furniture and so forth, because maybe $150 could be spent on some new chairs there. I had to sit in one at a meeting, committee meeting the other day, and they're awful. And the sound is still pretty bad in this room. But to respond to Commissioner Willis's comment about it raining in here, the humidity drops down from the roof. I think when this building was built, it wasn't insulated. And that has been a chronic problem of the construction of this building, and I don't think you can fix that. There were 2 engineers and another former commissioner who is an engineer who came and studied this building and the roof and everything and the lack of insulation. So I don't think ARPA's going to take care of it all, but just to give you that little vignette on the history of the roof.
Thank you. Any other comments? Nope. All right, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. City Attorney, next item.
Okay, new business item 2, consider a new beach rental business to operate with the city's Ocean Beach for a temporary 8-month period. Representative Tanja McCoy, Development Services Director, recommendation consider.
Move to consider approval of this new beach rental agreement that we have before us for the 8-month period.
You have a second?
I want a second just so we could talk about it, I guess.
For discussion?
Yeah. I'd like to hear what Tanja has to say also.
Well, the main thing, I just wanted to make sure that the commission was aware of where this business would be located. So this is currently what we have out there as far as our 15 locations. The business that we're speaking of, location would be right here next to the pier, above the pier. And these are the locations that we currently have.
Was I to understand that you're going to grant 3 locations?
No, sir.
Just one?
Just one location. It would be right here on Bartlow. They would have one location. It would be 50 feet square, and they would be allowed to have up to 3 setups at any given time. Each setup would allow up to 10 people, so 30 people at any given time. Did you have any additional questions?
Yes. Now, currently, we have a limit on how many beach licenses per our ordinance, right? There's an ordinance with a limit, right?
We don't actually have a limit on licenses. We have a limit on locations. So currently, we have a limit of 15 locations, And if you guys approve this, it would add an additional location.
So, I mean, if we have a limit on locations and we're adding another one, then we'd have to fix the ordinance to do that.
Yes, we
before
would
we
have to
grant
fix the
approval. Is that correct?
It would need to be changed. I think the commission in the process could authorize it, but we would need to change the ordinance, because the ordinance right now says 15
Right,
locations.
but you wouldn't,
But
unless this passes.
unless this passes, there's no reason to
Sense in
change the
changing
ordinance. Absolutely,
That will be basically a clerical update.
absolutely, yes.
So my main concern, and I was asking about this earlier, and I think I got an answer when I walked in tonight, but these people, I understand that they're operating illegally, but not knowing, because from what I understand, they were kind of getting the runaround on whether or not it was a legal type deal, because basically they're not taking money on the beach, they're not soliciting on the beach, they have a website they take money through and whatever. So there was kind of like miscommunication on what's allowed and what's not. Now, if we do grant this to them, my concern is, did we have anybody else that's been waiting on the waiting list? Because if so, and they were doing it legally and their application was valid, it's just not fair to skip them if they've been waiting for a year or 2 years or whatever. I'm all for business and a startup, and I think that their model, actually, I like it a lot better than the current model, because you're not seeing a setup with rental box and all that stuff. They're taking their stuff when they leave, but I understand there's also issues with if storm comes up, you can't put stuff away as quickly. But like I said, it really would, to me, I would like to know if there was other people, and if we were going to grant this, you just can't have people cutting a line.
Yes. So is my recollection, we did not have a waiting list?
If I could say, you sent me an Excel spreadsheet.
Yes.
And I opened it up right before the meeting.
Yes.
And there was a tab that said wait list. And there are 2 people on the wait list.
It said.
They are identified.
I think that tab said future businesses.
Yeah,
And
they're on the wait list for.
Both of those were food and
No,
beverage?
no, they were for, one had beach equipment, and one had beach equipment and food. I can open it up.
Yeah, let me pull that up.
I think that's a really important piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And if we don't have a proper
I checked with
process for
staff
wait
and they
lists, we
said
need
there
to
was
develop
no wait
one,
list.
because I've heard from several that they have been waiting. Yeah.
And I mean, I just mentioned as we're waiting, like, I really feel for these people because, they're trying to make it. But at the end of the day, we can't skip rules, and we can't go around the process because we feel bad for somebody.
Exactly.
So and that's why I mentioned from the very get-go, you might want to think about a different business plan. So.
We have some public comment cards too, as well.
Mayor, I'm going to have to excuse myself. My mother had a little turn for the worse.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just got a call. But whatever you guys want to do this, I said my piece on that. But I just want to say one thing on the marina thing is, when I came on the commission, I had made campaign promises. I promised that SCAT was going to bring a bus, and it was going to go from the library to the country club to the rec center to City Hall every 15 minutes, and cost us about $25,000. SCAT went with us, and we did it for about a year, and it just, the ridership wasn't really there. A lot of people, everybody that rode it loved it and was glad to have it, but the ridership wasn't there to meet SCAT business plan. So, anyway. But I was also on the Waterways and Wildlife Advisory Board for 15 years before I became a commissioner. And I'm thinking you were still around, and I know your dad's not here anymore. We used to have a ski area.
Yeah, Ski Island, one way.
Well, yeah, we could ski back here, and we had the ski area out at the end of the
East side.
at the end of the country club. You know,
At the
golf
west
course.
side, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the Manatee people took this away from us and left us that one little sliver.
You just
Okay.
created this?
I went to federal court at the district level to fight for that little ski area.
And so
And
these are people
the
who have applied?
Manatee people said, "Oh no,
It's a
there's
big
one
deal."
manatee that had ever got hurt, and it was on the south end." And they said, "Nope, you can't have it." And the judge said, "Look, they only want this one little area." And I told the judge, I said, "Do you realize they already have the entire rest of the city?" And we lost it. We'll spend your $75,000 for phase one, but it ain't ever gonna get permitted to happen. And I'll just rest my case on that. If you wanna make good on your campaign promise and spend $75,000 on something that ain't gonna happen, go right ahead. Sorry, man.
Good luck with your mom. All right.
Okay, I've just been corrected. I did see it. There is a wait list here. But Tanja said that these are people who have contacted her since the subject came up.
Yes. So those two people have contacted us. Once we started learning more about the beach businesses, a couple of people contacted the department, and I told staff to make sure that they put them on the list so that we would contact them as we review everything and let them know if anything is available.
So on that note, I know there was more than one business that was asking for a permit before this all came about for a year or two at least now, and they were told by former staff that we have 15 locations limit, and therefore you cannot have a business. But there was no waiting list process I'm seeing. They were just told no. And I think that's kind of our problem here. We have the limits, but we never had a process to put businesses on a wait list, a formal wait list. And I think that's where we're running into trouble now, running into issues now in conflict, because they actually have been asking, but they were told no. And so they were told no, and that was it. And so now we're running into this issue. I think we really need to keep the 15 limit location and make a process for a wait list for when these locations open up, and have that wait list be a priority, and the next one in line gets a location. I think we should establish that kind of process before we start giving new locations away, to be fair to everyone.
I agree. I think maybe keep it at 15 and allow these people to be first on the waiting list. And then whoever filed after this was made an issue, they can be next in line. But
I don't agree that they should be first, because there's been other people waiting that just were told no, so they listened and didn't do anything. So we should open up that opportunity to all of them. I mean, I think we should determine who was actually told no first. And I've heard of like 2 or 3 that were actually told no, and they let it go because there was no process. So to make these people first, who just came in, I don't think that's fair either. So I think we need to determine how to deal with that.
So do we agree we want to keep it at 15, or do we want to consider 16 and then just start at the list in terms of priority? I think there's 2 issues, is adding a location.
I say we leave it at 15.
The prioritization.
15,
I mean,
yeah.
no
I think
sense
they
in-
should be number 3, yeah.
No sense in crowding the beach more.
So what's the logic of getting them just a temporary, because they have a slightly different business model, that they can be an exception to add a new location? What was the basis for that?
I don't agree with that, so I'm not going to support that. But
I think it was just to figure out exactly how it was going to work, but
just give them a trial period.
But now knowing that there's other people that have been trying to get in there,
I mean, these are very lucrative franchises, some of them.
yes.
I wanted to do the one, I won't name the person, but there was one that's very lucrative at a city park that's making a generous return. Sounds a lot less stressful than banking with figuring out, you want an orange chair or a blue chair? I mean, how hard could that be? So, I'm just gonna go, these are very valuable to people and.
On that list.
Yeah, people have paid good money to get on these. So is there a way to track those people that may have applied at some point in the past? I don't know.
We could ask, I know that I was at several meetings, numerous meetings actually, with the former city manager. He'd have me come in and, he was directed by the city commission to keep it at 15.
Yeah, I mean, the
don't
idea was
overpopulate
always
the
to not
commercialization.
over-commercialize the
Right,
beach.
right. So I don't know who they were. Maybe we could contact Jim and, see if he has any records anywhere.
Well, we got some
I don't know.
public comment cards,
I
so,
think that's a slippery slope, right? 16, that's in precedence,
Yeah.
I want 17, I want 18.
right, yeah, I think it is too.
This is a really hard situation for us, just because we really feel, I personally really feel for the people, but I just can't.
I feel for the residents that have been longtime residents that have been here waiting. and
That's the thing,
patient,
but
yeah.
I have to be fair to the people that are waiting, so the people that were doing it right and waiting, I have to be fair to them, but it's a hard decision. I do not take this lightly.
We do have quite a few public comment cards. Mike Panada? Sorry, I butchered your last name. Panay, come on up, sir. All right.
Yo, College Drive.
Well, I originally thought this was going to be a mobile rental thing. That's kind of what I heard through the grapevine. So I kind of had a long spiel. But I would like to say one thing. Many of the owners, I own the Best Western location, have for 13 years. And I would like to say these people were told by multiple owners up and down the beach that what they were doing was illegal. So they knew. So they can't claim that they didn't know on that. I am glad to hear that it's actually an assigned location. It sounds like it's not gonna go through, so I'm not gonna take up too much of your time. Just like to warn against anything mobile like that. Anybody that can just pull up in a van and dump some equipment on the beach is never a good thing. So, thank you.
Thank you. Melissa Byron?
Melissa Byron, 3165 North Atlantic Avenue. I can provide a little bit of history because I was here for this 18 months of going through trying to establish these franchise, trying to establish the locations. And it did take 18 months for the commission and these owners, these franchise owners basically, to come up with this agreement. Their agreements that they have last 3 years, and that was decided by the commission because of the investment that they make. They have been good businesses to us. There has been one business that was asked to leave, and they lost their franchise because they were not cooperating. All these 15 locations have cooperated with the city. They have cooperated with all the requirements there are going to be, and letting someone jump ahead and give them 8 months, that's ridiculous. These guys have invested 3 years of their time, their money, their equipment, their inventory. You shouldn't invade their spot. And then 15 was decided because if you looked at the map, they're pretty much near each other. You pretty much have 5 miles of beach that you have a vendor just about any place you walk out, from Coconuts up to the pier. You can find some place to rent an umbrella, a chair, a surfboard. We don't need any more. This was designed to make sure we don't commercialize our beach and turn it into a carnival. So I respect the 15 locations that they have worked hard, they have complied, they have been called in and slapped a couple times, and they have done everything they're supposed to do. And I don't think you should let someone come in that, just because they have a different model. They're doing the same thing. They're going to be renting on the beach. So don't disrespect or punish our 15 local businesses that have been doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank you. Connie Duncan.
My name's Connie Duncan. I own the Beach Shack and the property from A1A to the beach. I've actually been doing beach rentals for 40 years there. I've owned the bar for 40 years. Of course, the last few years when we went to having the franchises, I think has organized everything in a really good, positive way for tourists and our local people. And from what I see on Facebook, it says, we started our new venture June 1st of 2022. So they've been operating for a year without following any of the ordinance. They have not shown that they have insurance. They don't pay a fee. They don't do any of the things that we're required to do. I don't feel like they should be allowed to do business in this way. It's supposed to be online, but I know for a fact they're collecting money down on the beach because there's no way you can pay from the website. So anyway, I think that everything is pretty good the way it is. I think we have plenty of beach rentals on our beach for everybody to go to, and that we honestly don't need any more.
Connie, may I ask you a
Yes.
question?
Mm-hmm.
Related to our earlier topic. So you've had a beach bar for 40 years,
Yes, I have.
right? I've never gotten a complaint from Beachside.
Right, you know why?
Yeah, elaborate, please. Just
Okay.
enlighten us for a minute.
We have got a lot of foliage on the side of our business where it butts up to Boardwalk or Park Place. Is it Boardwalk?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so it buffers the sound. When we have something in the afternoon, it's from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 6. It's over by the time everybody's ready for dinner. We close down music and we bring them inside on the weekends. We have music Friday, Saturday, Sunday afternoon on the deck only. So we have one day that we do outside. So we have an enclosed area is why. We bring them inside to our building and the sound stays inside. We don't have huge speakers and, loud music. We have it just so that hopefully the people in our bar and directly in front of our beach can listen to it if they want to, but it's not overpowering. So that's what we do.
Thank you. I wish everybody else was here still.
It's on the record.
Maybe they'll watch it. William Davidson.
I'm with Island Watercraft Rentals. We've been in the rental business almost 20 years and pretty much explained everything already. We thought it was a mobile business, but they are doing mobile. They have pictures on their website. They have them set up right in front of our location. We have multiple locations. We have the north side of the pier, the Quinta Inn. We have Lori Wilson. We have Jetty Park. We have the Holiday Inn. And we're doing this almost 20 years. We follow all the rules, the regulations. We keep a clean beach. We pick up all the garbage. Everything's stacked nice. To have a company to come in, start setting up in front of us, and that's mobile to me. And there's pictures with banners of them setting up. It's right on their website. And that's this one here is in front of one of the other locations. One's at the Hilton Inn they set up. They come down and put up not even commercial grade equipment. We use all commercial grade. Like I said, we have insurance. We pay the fees, the taxes to the county and the city. And same with the other locations. We all follow the rules, keep a clean house, clean beach, no garbage, and that's the way we want to keep it. And plus, we even have surf and ski water sports for the last 15 years. And the same thing, we keep a good ship there. We're hands-on. We're there every day. We watch everything. We watch storms, weather apps. And, when you put a mobile unit set up, and if a storm comes, who's going to take it down? It's going to sit there. If the wind takes it, it hits someone gets hurt, who's responsible? That's why we have attendants there. I'm there on the beaches 5 days a week. My partner, Mark Marshall, he's there 4 days a week. So we're there every day making sure everything's run properly. So So that's the main reason we're here. I was gonna go over a bunch of other stuff, but it's not really supposedly being mobile, and there's no more locations available. Originally, it was 13 spots years ago. Now they went up to 15, so we did go up a little. So it is gonna be too many out there. And right now, it is equally spaced apart. We don't want everyone on top of each other. We're all here for business. We all live local, and we're trying to keep a nice beach, and we don't want to become like up north where you get all the riffraff in, all the garbage all over the beach. And we watch out for the wildlife. It's very important here. That's why we're here. We want to have a nice community, family beach, not become a party beach, and hopefully it stays this way. And that's probably about it. I was going to go over all the licenses and our licenses, but we don't have to because there ain't no more openings right now. But that's about all I have to say, and I enjoy it here. I love being here. I did live in Cocoa Beach because I got 3 sheepadoodles now. I had to get a house, so I had to move to Merritt Island. But hopefully it stays this way, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela Cobb.
Angela Cobb, Cocoa Beach. So I've been really fired up about this, so I want to apologize if I came across as rude to anybody. So I was the one that applied for this 3 years ago. I started managing for Coconuts. They asked me to keep the business separate from the restaurant, which meant that I had to pay my own taxes. So I applied for a business license and got denied, obviously, because there's only 15. So I had a meeting with Mr. Stevenson before he retired, and he told me that, so the plan was to just give me a tiny little square next to Coconuts just with my name on it, just so I could get the business license, so that I could pay taxes. Not to actually grow another huge spot, but just like, make Coconut Square a little bit bigger so that I can have my name on it and get a license. Anyways, he said, well, I have to wait until one of the 15 comes available. Maybe we could move the one location to the other side of Coconuts, just to make it simple. So I've been waiting for 3 years, and I haven't gotten a business license yet. I've had an LLC for 3 years, and I just started using credit cards, so that's a problem. So, and then also I'm here to represent Miss Julie from the Hilton. She's sick so she couldn't be here, but she wanted me to read this. We all work so hard. We must adhere to the rules we must follow to be the best representatives of the city offering beach rentals. With the licenses we earn to offer beach services within the city of Cocoa Beach, we should be protected from rogue vendors that take away from our livelihood and the livelihood of those we employ. And I want to thank all these guys for coming. There's a lot more to it than just chairs and umbrellas. Like the safety thing's a big thing with storms. We all use huge umbrellas. We make sure they're in the ground. We're there 24/7 to make sure that nobody gets hurt with the wind. So that's all really I got to say. But thank you guys.
Thank you. Any other public comments on this item? Sir, name and address for the record.
Yeah, I'm Jake, 499 Satellite Beach. I don't feel Lana, Cocoa Beach Surf School. And I think realistically, she hit the nail right on the head. So did you guys with this. It took me 5 years to get what was then DoubleTree is now Hilton Garden Inn. And I called Joy Lombardi every day to get on that list and apply. And she told me, no, we are not getting any more. So it took me 5 years to get that. I've got 3 more of them now. We do everything by the book, background checks on all of our employees, and we have to pay, the upland property holder a percentage of our profits as well. So I don't know how that would work without them having an upland property holder to pay. And on top of that, when it's a mobile vendor type situation, because I just had this incident at my surf school at summer camp, somebody needs to regulate the surf schools, and the guys popping up just doing lessons and stuff like that and dumping stuff out on the beach because it's too hard when it's just Robin out there. Respect to Robin. I'm straight up. He's straight up with me. He'll tell you, it's tough for him. And then the beach patrol doesn't have any authority really to tell these people to get off, is what they've told me. Because I also do Fisher Park, so I deal with beach patrol every day. I would say before any more come in, there needs to be some kind of help for Robin or some kind of policy for these beach patrol guys to be able to check the cards that you guys made us all get, the badges. And if they don't have that, they need to be told to leave or something like that. I don't know how to regulate that. That's on y'all. But just figured, before we add any more, there needs to be something done about just controlling the ones that we have and the people that are fly-by-night just coming out and renting stuff. It happens to us all the time. Rival Surf School, it's not registered, doesn't come out there, starts pushing kids around at our summer camp. They get into an altercation, we have the police there. Looks terrible on Cocoa Beach Surf School. And how do we handle that situation? Now we have the kids there watching a scene between our two instructors because there's no regulation for them. You can call the cops. By the time they get there, they pack up and leave. The beach patrol doesn't have any regulation to do anything. And I've called, how many times I call and say, hey, look, man, this is what's going on. I don't want to get in an altercation with these people, so what do? Call CPD, So luckily we employ some people from CPD as part-time, and things have mellowed out there because some of those people got trespassed. But just so you know, that's kind of what's really going on the beach. And I think with your noise thing, there's that northeast breeze. So the speaker's facing 142 towards the river. That's why everybody's hearing it. I think if you turn those speakers around, just by 2 cents, you force it right down at Coconuts, and then they could battle, and that could be your main street. But, I don't have anything to say on that. But just figured I'd say, before we add any more, let's just work on regulating what we got and those fly-by-night vendors, you know what I mean? They're out there every day just undercutting me. $20 surf lesson written on the bottom of a surfboard,
Thank you.
Yeah.
We get that Lori Wilson.
Huh?
We get that Lori Wilson, they just show up.
All right. Any other public comments? Hearing none? Sir.
I'm Matt Hatcher. This is my wife, Erin, my daughter, Flora. We are the owners of Beach Trips. Couple of things. First of all of you have been, worried about as far as, going through the process of getting your licenses and doing things the right way. We spent a year doing that. We talked to Joy Lombardi, same thing every day. I planned this thing for a year. What we ended up getting was, it's not like we didn't go through the process. We went through the application process. We were issued a business tax receipt. We were told that business tax receipt acted as the license. So we planned that stuff, like I said, we planned it for a year. So we paid for the application fee. We paid for everything along the way. As far as setting up in areas, we've talked to a lot of your employers. We've talked to a lot of you, and we found out where your boundaries lie. Throughout that time, we always set up outside. We did set up in a couple areas when we first started. I think it was the first 3 jobs where we came in, and then we started to learn the rules as we went. The lady at the Hilton, we've had 2 great conversations with her. She was the first time that we set up, it was in her area. And then she called us up, we talked, she told us our area is from this boardwalk to this boardwalk. So if you're gonna our rack cards are in all the hotels, we advertise and market in those places. She told us as long as you are outside of our area, you're all right. Same thing when we went to all these other places. Whenever we asked, we went straight to Coconut. Same thing, I asked right directly where her property lie and where we could set up, and she said this is where we were supposed to be. So we've tried to do everything that we possibly could along the way to make sure that we're not stepping on anybody's toes and trying to get in a certain area where we are away from everybody. If it's bothered you, then we've took our business away from that as well. So we pay as well. We went through the licensing process. It just we weren't issued the right thing. So we planned this business for a year. We came down here, we've been running the business for a year. Even over through the winter time, when places were closed, we were still going. So we didn't hear anything. Last summer when we started, we didn't hear anything. Or when we did, we accommodated that to make it work. Throughout the winter, when everybody else was closed down and we were still working, we didn't hear anything. So at that point, we were still going. It just happened to be in March when we started this year is when we started to get a lot of these complaints. And then some of these things came up. So at that point, and then that started in March, went through April. It's been a 6-week process, I think, at this point. So like I said, we feel that we've went through the proper channels to do what we had to do to move down here and do this the right way. As far as a waiting list, if there was a waiting list, had we, the year that I spent planning this business, the year before we actually came down here and ran it, so 2 years ago, had we had been told that there was a waiting list, we would have got on it. But we weren't told that there was a waiting list. We were issued a BTR, a business tax receipt, and was told that that business tax receipt was acted as our license. So we went to work. We are not seeking, ideally, we are not seeking the one plot or one rental area like everybody else has. It is sort of mobile, but so we want to be able to set up throughout the beach, but just outside of people's areas. That's kind of where, that's what we had planned to do.
Sir, if you could.
If it's stepping on your toes, we are also we are professionals, so we understand that these things are valuable to you. But we also understand, we believe that we've done our part as well to kind of put into this space. We don't want to have, ideally, we don't want to have that spot. We want to be able to create a mobile, a new, innovative way for rentals, and we believe that we can make it work and make it safe and make it healthy and make it a good opportunity for everybody else. So,
and also to make sure that we're not ever in your designated areas, that we would only set up in areas where it wasn't designated.
we also know that when we started this business and we went through that, there were going to be some issues, there were going to be some complaints, or probably were going to be some things that we were going to have to answer to, and that's kind of where we are now. But I think to kind of completely throw us out of the game or take us out of the game, I don't think that that's right. As far, like I said, the waiting list, if that was the case, we could have got on a couple of years ago and then waited in line at that point as well. But we took advantage of the opportunities that were given to us by the city, by the commission, and we moved down here from Iowa to do this. We planned it for a year. We moved down here. We made it work over the time. Here we are. So I do feel like if we
really got to
give us
wrap it up.
no space, then that would be unfortunate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Ready to vote?
Yeah.
I can't. I feel really bad for them, but I can't step on the toes of the people that have been doing it properly. So I have to vote no.
I vote no as well. I mean,
Somebody needs to make a motion.
Somebody needs to make a motion. Thank you.
Go ahead.
A little tired.
I have a quick question before we make a motion.
Yeah.
Do we have any kind of records? I mean, it sounds like there's a massive miscommunication, misinterpretation between what they received and what the city either promised them or.
Well, I'd like staff to certainly.
Yeah, I mean.
So, Tanya's
Yes, we do.
here as
We do
well as,
have
code
records.
enforcement.
Yes, we do have records. What actually happened is why I know that they thought they were doing it the right way is Aaron called me and said, hey, these people are out here telling us we got to get off the beach. And so at that time, I'm new, so I said, okay, I'll call you back once I find out what's going on. And at that time, I pulled up their records in our computer. They had done everything correctly. It was a staff error. I called Becky, and we went over what was going on.
Okay, my recollection, my understanding was they got a BTR to do rentals.
Yes.
But not to set them up on the beach. I mean, you can have a bunch of surfboards and you can rent them to people.
With the BTR.
But with the BTR.
There's another process step to do this business model?
Oh, yeah.
No, in their application, it did state that they would be taking their items out to the beach and bringing them back. Staff understood that to be like a store or something of that nature that rent equipment. It was when you and I and Christy had the conversation about setting up something and taking it back was when it was not allowed.
Right. Right.
Okay, so it's my understanding, though, that they can still rent stuff, but people would have to go to their house or they would have to meet them at somebody's hotel and drop the stuff off.
Yes.
So you guys can still operate your business, but you just can't set up on the beach, it sounds like.
That was what council determined, that when you The difference is when a business goes out to the beach and set up a setup and then leave and come back to the beach is when it's not legal.
Okay, so at least we're not putting you on the street completely. You can still rent from your location, it sounds like, or drop off at the hotel.
It would need to be a commercial location. They couldn't have people coming to their home, but they could, if they had whatever they have, the tents or something. I don't see any harm in them taking the tents to somebody's hotel room and giving it to them. But it's once they start operating on the beach.
Okay.
Because a lot of families have tents, and you just take your own tent out and you put it up.
You guys ready to vote?
I need a motion. Yeah.
I move to disapprove a new beach rental business.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 4-0.
Okay.
Next
Okay.
item.
New business item 3, request permission to proceed immediately with the request for qualifications, RFQ, for professional services to conduct a feasibility study for the construction of a marina complex. This item is currently in the fiscal year 2024 budget for $75,000 and in fiscal year 2025 for $75,000. The total project cost is $150,000. The marina complex will be located at the Cocoa Beach Country Club.
Guys, go outside, please. If you're-
Representative, Vice Mayor Keith Capizzi, recommendation, consider the request.
Make a motion to consider it.
Second.
Go ahead, sir.
This is strictly an RFQ. This is not obligating any money, correct? This is just exercising the industry for an RFQ?
No, it would be to, actually, it would be to move it up in time, is my understanding of the request, because it is already planned for next year, but that, or for the fiscal year 2024 budget, which will be next fiscal year.
It's already been allocated. The difference is if we start now, we're still not going to we're really not even going to use the money till like the very end of this year anyways. So the difference is we're basically moving up the process of the work, and the money is pretty much coming out about the same time anyways. Well, it'd be coming out rather the beginning of the year or the end of this year, basically, rather than the end of next year.
This is obligating $75,000 to go request an RFQ.
Correct. So it just really puts us in a shovel-ready position for 10-1 is what it does. So Wayne, prepare the RFQ, prepare the information, put the bid out, and so forth. He can explain that, but it's maybe $500 for advertising.
And let me just say the reason why I propose that we move it up is because if we build this marina, it's a time-sensitive issue because we have this stuff going on at the port, and we want to get ahead of the game and make sure that we get.
I support it. I'm just trying to be very clear. Sometimes you can get RFQs for free, and sometimes you're paying for.
And there's Jack Kirschenbaum. He's a local lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
He's also deals a lot with fine. I think he's a lawyer for fine. He has pretty much assured me that he is very confident that he can get a lot, if not most, of the money for this project approved anyways. So the potential for us to make money, like I said, I'm all about spending money to make money, and to me, this is a no-brainer. But I'll let Wayne.
I just wanted to explain how the RFQ process, how this would play out. So Keith wants to move it up and start it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
That process plays out over 2.5 to 3 months. We have to advertise it. We have to have a pre-bid meeting. We have to accept all the submittals, have an evaluation committee. So all that plays out. Up front,
Mm-hmm.
it's $500 roughly for an ad in the paper. The rest is just the time, staff time to administer it. So we wouldn't be forking out money for whoever got this contract until FY24 anyway, so.
Right.
Okay.
So my question is, Wayne, if you know or anybody, I like the idea. It still puzzles me. I mean, the original women's club of Cocoa Beach design was to put this on the water, this facility.
So nice.
We blew it. Totally blew it, like a lot of things that have happened here. So that being said, we're about to get $30-something million for that capping project off here. For those of you that don't know, when they dredge the high school, it's the single largest muck depository in the entire estuary. Yay, Cocoa Beach, great job. So it was done without any foresight back then, and that is all grant money. It's all ready to go. We're what, 80%? It looked like Jacobs was engineering for that project.
So we're just about to apply for permits.
Okay, so.
And it's 36 million.
36 million, thank you. So the last thing I want to do is anything that's going to negate that $36 million
Right,
grant
so we run the
to take care of
risk
that.
with that.
So I want to make sure that we talk to all these agencies, you know, FWC, DEP, all these folks, and maybe the location is not right there. Maybe it's by the pavilion over there, away from that
Outside the
muck capping project. And I don't know what the plan is, but I'm all for looking at this, but we can't jeopardize that project, nor can we. I doubt we'll get an approval. Is there any way, at what point do we get something back from FWC that says we, or DEP, or whoever the alphabet soup of government agencies is, to give us some sort of head nod that they think they'll do it? How much money do we have to invest to get to that point, is my question.
So you can meet with them, and my experience with them is
They won't say anything unless you give
they
them
won't say anything
plans.
unless you apply for a permit.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, but that would be probably the first phase of the firm that we hire to do a study, and they would start meeting with the regulatory agencies, and they'd have to look into all this. So the way I would probably approach that would be have two sealed lump sum figures submitted with their proposal, and once we select the firm, we can open it up and they'll give us an idea of what they think that would cost and a time frame on it, and it's a systematic, study. So
That's a big risk.
the worst thing you'd want is the capping
Yeah.
project to be not received. This project not received well by the funding agencies for the capping, and they come back and they say to us, "You prove to us that the penetration in many areas with the piles that you're going to have to put in are not going to jeopardize the cap." And we're going to say, "Well, it doesn't." And they're going to say, "Well, you prove it to us and you pay for it." So that's one of the risks that we have
That's
to
why I was
keep
thinking
in.
about the location.
And I'm not poo-pooing the project by any means. I'm just
I'm just mindful of that 36 million that I don't want to jeopardize.
It's a huge risk.
I want to just make sure we have enough land on that. What is that, north? I'm sorry, I'm tired. It's north side?
Of
the east
the
side.
golf course?
Yeah,
East
over
side.
where the pavilion is.
It's northeast.
Northeast?
Yeah.
There's enough room there. Because there's already a little,
That was where the original marina was.
It was a small marina.
yeah.
Um,
Can it be expanded to?
The problem is, well, that's not a problem, but really to maximize profits, you want to have more spots, obviously. And obviously, I don't want to do anything to jeopardize the capping project either. But knowing what the capping project, what it entails or what it is, it's basically 3 foot of sand on top of the muck, right?
Roughly, yeah.
So when you're talking about putting pilings in, you're not talking about opening up a big gaping hole where muck's going to be pouring out. You're basically just putting a plug in different spots to hold docks. So I don't know that I'm not saying that I know what I'm talking
We're dealing
about.
with
But,
government. Who knows if they're going to.
but this is if we don't try, then we will never know. Do we have a potential to possibly do something really amazing for the city. And I believe that the risk is worth the reward.
High level timing, what is the timing? The muck project is starting when?
It's been going on for a while. Like I
Okay.
said, we did all of our data collection, and we're getting our permits together now, and we're gonna be submitting for a permit.
Okay, so accelerating this is in an attempt to get ahead of when they actually start depositing sand?
It would be
or-
nice to even do that. I don't know that if we can get that quick enough, but if
Right.
possible, that would be
I'm
the
trying to understand, I
ideal.
could totally see somebody throwing a wrench in that.
Our permitting for the capping project is estimated at 2 years.
Right.
We're just starting.
But we're gonna throw a new variable in it saying, hey, oh, by the way, we're gonna drop 100
Yeah, but if we
pilings in
set
here.
those piles before they cap it, then
But it's
problem
not in our
solved.
application, I think is what we're going at. We've submitted it, nobody knows anything about this marina. In midstream of this 2-year process, they're gonna say, oh, by the way, we're gonna dump 100 pilings in here, whatever the number is.
Which also has to be permitted.
Yeah, everything's gonna.
I love the idea, I love the idea, it's a massive risk.
We've already put it in the budget for next year and the year after.
Yeah.
All I'm asking is that we start it sooner so that we can get ahead of the game. If we're gonna be doing the capping, maybe we can get it going just before or at the same time or
The risk
whatever.
is that they'll rescind the funding or the grant funding. The risk is that they won't approve this if it's done post capping. Is that what we're thinking the risk is?
I don't know. That's
Yeah.
my point. It's the unknown.
That's my concern is
If we get approved, and right now, so Jack Kirschenbaum, he's part of the fine thing, and he's a lawyer. He seems to think that he can absolutely get it approved. He thinks, like, he's just assured me basically, and I'm not saying that he knows for sure, but he's said that he's very familiar with all this type of stuff. That's what he deals with. And he says he doesn't really see us having a problem. Now, I don't know, I really don't know, but what I can tell you is if we can get this project going, we seriously have the potential of making at least $100,000 a month in
I'm
revenue.
sold on the project. I'm
for
on board with the project. It's the risk side to.
You're risking $75,000 for the next 2 years. It's if I could pay for it, I would almost pay for it as long as I got a return on it. You know what I'm saying? It's in the scheme of things.
I think the risk is that they would rescind some of that funding if they find out about it. It's not the 75K.
But we don't know if we
it's-
don't try. If we don't, and if they say if we say there's going to be a risk, then we tried something and it didn't work. But without trying, we will never know, and we have the potential of possibly doing something great.
If I can just interject one comment. So to get us to the point to even know the cost of the assessment, because we've estimated 75, we don't know that. So if we go through the RFQ process, put it out to bid, and get any companies, any consultants to at least reply back, that still has to come back to you at that point in
Right.
time. So the expenditure of the funds would not even happen until that point in time. That's going to hit them September or whenever time. Then you have a choice as a commission to either approve those expenditures because they're not in the current year budget. So you'd have to approve that. We'd have to allocate money, or you'd have to do that as part of next year's because it's a contract.
Right.
So
I'm not worried about that money. I'm worried about when his project finds out about this.
right. So maybe some of the information as part of that RFQ
Yeah.
could include what
Oh, by the way,
agencies,
there's the future.
general information. Because we don't know a lot right
Yeah.
now. Maybe that information can be part of the RFQ. Dwayne can write it in such a way that at least they give us a glimpse. I mean, we reached out to one person and they gave us a little glimpse, but maybe the agencies, then one of the requirements can be just to give us an idea of all the agencies to be involved, because there will probably be multiple, probably 10 or 12, or I mean, who knows? So let them give us that information to bring back to you. We don't have that at this point in time, and so at least a fact finding at this point in time.
I mean, personally, I'm really concerned about the risk of. I mean, we're about to get 36 million, like you've been saying, and I don't want to jeopardize that at all. This is a state-of-the-art project that we finally are committed to, just about, and to jeopardize that really scares me. And I think to 75,000 and 150 total, that's a lot of money. We don't know what's going to happen. we don't know if it's going to even work, and all the permitting in the end. That's a lot of money, and I think we have so much maintenance, like the country club, like we have ARPA funds to help with that, but there's so many other maintenance and things where we could spend this money that might that's more hard, that's more what we need to use the money on. That I have a hard time spending $75,000 on that, on something that might jeopardize a project that we get $36 million for, and we don't know if it's even going to work out. I'm having trouble wrapping my head around this. I like the project. I think it's really cool.
It's the thing though is already budgeted. It's already been set aside for next year and the year after. It's already been set aside for that. So that's the thing is we're just trying to get it quicker so that we can make sure that it's not going to interfere with their project. And if it does, then we don't do it. But if it does work, we're going to make 1,000-fold that money back. I would never want to waste the city's money. I'm only doing this because I think the potential for the city to make money is enormous. I have a marina in my backyard. I have a bunch of slips in my backyard. I don't need the marina. This is solely for city profit and to bring an amenity to the city that would set us on the map for something different, rather than just music venues and drinking and bars. This is something that would bring a real classy type visitor to the city.
I mean, is there like a business model we can see where how much, like, I'd like to see, like an actual like business model that tells us.
So I can tell you, with what I've proposed, we can fit 100 boat slips. You can have at least 50 of those boat slips designated for 25-foot boats. Those 25-foot boats would get at least $500 a month rental. That's an easy given. Any boat bigger than or around the 40-foot range would get $1,000 a month per slip. If you had rentals for like island tours or other type of like island boat lines or dolphin tours, whatever, you rent those slips, you could probably get close to $2,000 a slip. If you do the math, even if you just average it out at $1,000 a slip, at 100 slips, that's $100,000 a month. It's a no-brainer if we can get it past the whether or not FWC and all the other people will let us do it. It's as simple as if we get the approval and we go through it, the city's going to be making some serious money. And we can eventually, my proposal is, once we build the marina, we build the docks first, then we paid the marina down, whatever we spent on it. We put money towards building a yacht club / clubhouse and put the yacht club and the clubhouse on the water where it should have been in the first place. But that's I'm talking about in phases. And all I want to do here is try to get something going so that when these places shut down at the port, we're ahead of the curve. This yacht club will be full before it's even finished. I guarantee it. There's too many people that are looking for boat slips that are not available.
Speaking of microphone.
Sorry.
I guarantee it.
So that's me. To me, the risk is worth it. But I understand if you're nervous because you're not in that field. I'm around boats all the time. I know what the value is.
You do have some public comment on it. Public comment?
I didn't feel Keith, I understand you wanted to do something. We've talked about this during the campaign, and you went from 65 slips during the campaign to 100 now. But first off, that $75,000 better not be allocated yet because you haven't put the budget together for the 2024-25. So I hope that you don't have a budget sitting in front of you that you've allocated money before it's come to you and you decided that you're going to spend that. So I would hope you don't have that because that's not how budgets work. That's not how you guys work. I am beyond fathoming how you can even consider risking $36 million for a pipe dream. And it is a pipe dream, Keith. You know, in order to make this work, you're going to have to destroy the golf course. You're going to have to destroy River Course. Sure you are. 100 slips, and you want to put a yacht club up in front of it, you're going to destroy it because there's no place else you're going to be able to fit it. So let's take our money course. Let's take our money course, which is a river, and destroy it. I don't think that's a good idea. In 1965, there was a study done to put a marina out there. That was before we had 27 holes. That's before we had the swimming pool. That's before we had there were baseball fields out there, softball fields, and handball courts. And then there was room for it. That was a great place to put it. But it's not feasible now. We're at a time when we've been spending millions of dollars to dredge the lagoon to make it a great parents, and now you're talking about let's put something else in. To make a marina work, you're going to need electricity, you're going to need water, you're going to need fuel, you're going to need a place for them to dump sanitations from their boats. You really think that that's what people want to do at the Indian River Lagoon? You really think someone's going to want to permit that after we spent millions of dollars to getting the muck out? I don't think so. Also, any fine grant you get, that is a matching grant. Don't think you're going to get it, they're going to give it to you free. You're going to have to match it. So I think that it's a wonderful idea. It's a great pipe dream for some other place. But it sure as heck isn't for us in Cocoa Beach, and it sure as heck isn't for $36 million to be at risk. You know, and the thing is, you got to understand, these agencies talk to each other. We got one agency saying we're going to do this. You don't think they talk to each other and say, oh, you know, Cocoa Beach wants to do the capping, and they want $36 million, and we also got, what, $10 million from the governor? You know, and his $4 million from the governor, $12 million from the governor, $12 million to do this project. And you think we want to mess up that by saying, let's put a marina in? Let's wait. Wait till we get the capping done. Wait till we get that money in hand and start the project. And then, Keith, have your pipe dream. But don't use my tax dollars to do it.
Good evening. Don Haynes, Cocoa Beach. I think a marina might be a good idea, but the way to find out if it's a good idea is, first of all, don't spend our money. Let some investor come in here. Put it out for bids for people. Hey, look, Cocoa Beach is looking for someone to run a marina, invest the money. You all know, you run cities. The golf course loses money, the pool loses money. There's not one recreational facility in this city that makes money. What makes you think you know how to run a marina and make money? And I think can you imagine the people, I don't think the people in the city realize that someone wants to actually build a marina out here, or the Manatee people, the Thousand Island people. You're gonna have so much controversy on you. Trying to get a permit to build a dock on the lagoon is almost impossible. Try building a 100-unit marina. We know they've closed down 2 marinas on Merritt Island in the last couple of years. You know, the Mocker 24 and then the other one down South Tropical Trail.
They didn't close them down.
Oh, they're not there.
They are there, and they're thriving.
I don't know. I drove over that little bridge. That boathouse is going. There's not.
They're bigger than ever, and they're expanding.
Oh, okay. My mistake then. Sorry.
Yeah, all the marinas around here are thriving
Keith,
tremendously.
You're a great promoter. You could raise money for that and do it yourself.
I wish I could, but a private entity is not allowed to do it.
Excuse me?
You're not allowed to have a private entity on state property.
Well, state still owns it. You can't sub it out to someone to run it?
Nope.
Oh, excuse me, but.
Look, I've looked into this.
I just think I don't suggest, like Melissa just said, even thinking of, if there's 1,000,000 to 1 chance that you could affect that money from the state, I would just put it off maybe a little bit. 150,000 is a lot of money too, I think, to get a study done. You already proved to us almost that it is needed. The study's just to tell us if the state's going to approve it.
Yeah, that's it. The study is just to make sure that we can get it done.
But 150,000, look, you know how budgets are. I mean, look at our original budget for City Hall. And I'm pro advocate of the City Hall. I want it to be gorgeous. But we were at what, 4.3 million?
12 now.
What's it going to come in at?
Well, it was 26 back in 1990, whatever it was.
That was something like it. But, I mean, we were at 4.3 is how you sold it to the citizens, more or less. Now it's probably going to be what, 6, 7 million?
Keep it at Public Works.
million here, million there, 150 for a study here to spend another $3 million maybe to build a marina. The engineering companies are going to charge. If they want 150 just to tell you if it's feasible, what do you think it's going to cost to run through all these state agencies and get permits in that? It's going to be a lot of money.
We don't know how much it's going to be for the feasibility study. That's just thrown out there.
Excuse me, Keith?
We don't know how much it's going to be for the feasibility study. That number was just thrown out there as what we can use.
Well, believe me, if some engineering company knows you got 150,000 to spend, it's going to cost you 200. Thank you.
Any other public comments? Hearing none. All right, need a motion.
One last question. What was the timing, we think, on the permit? What is ballpark? We're halfway through that 2 year, or we're 1 year through? Do we know that? You said we're a 2 year permit cycle. What is that?
It's going to take us 2 years from now. We haven't
haven't started it yet.
Talking about the capping?
Yeah, whatever permitting to get everything finalized, is that started and partially complete, or?
We're just in the process now of submitting for permits, and we're estimating 2 years on the permitting.
Okay, so like June of 25? Yeah, 2 years from now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible that we could get the marina approved
I won't be out of
at the
office.
same time.
So,
We have a motion? I'm sorry.
I'd motion to approve to push up the budget to allow to start this year.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. The only caveat I want is to
Yeah.
get to a point where we can get an answer from one of these agencies that it doesn't jeopardize that grant, and B, that we have a shot at getting this.
I would be okay with that, just if we could just at least figure out whether or not this is gonna, if it's not gonna affect
If it doesn't work there, I want us to have a plan B to do a much smaller scale on that northeast parcel where the pavilion is.
You're talking about the little strip that goes out to the police boat docks?
Yeah, I'm talking about off that pavilion there. We're totally
Outside the
avoiding the muck
Got it.
capping project and avoiding that whole mess.
If we can, however we record that, I want that
So-
in the statement of work.
So either or, we still need the feasibility study, whether we do it there or we do it in the other place. Either way, we still need the study to be able to do that.
And Keith, you're right. The port just kicked out
Blue Points.
Blue Points.
Yeah. Yes.
There's a shortage of places for people to park
Barker
boats.
24 is expanding. They're not out of business.
They're expanding.
They added fuel, they added restaurant.
There's down the Barge Canal, they're all expanding. They can't build anymore over there. The people that own the marina, was it Harbor Point or something like that, had told me, if you guys are gonna privatize it, we want in. They know how valuable it is. We just need to know if we're allowed to do it, and if we can we do it? If we can't do it in that location, then let's do, like you said, a little smaller in the other location, but let's make that money for the city.
If we're investigating 2 locations, does that increase the price of the feasibility study?
No, we just want to know if we can even do it. It doesn't matter, that it's pretty much the same area. I don't think it's going to change our feasibility study one bit.
And again, the RFQ will come back, Wayne will ask for a separate bid. You'll have that, you'll be able to look at that. So if it's not 75, if it's 100, if it's whatever it is, you have to approve it at the next phase.
It's gonna take time to get to that stage. All right. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
With those caveats.
With those caveats? Were you able to get those, Bobby? Thank you. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Motion carries 3-1. All right. It's getting late. Last general public comment. Hearing none. Meeting adjourned. Ooh.